Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and it's ready to show off.
Gregory now, I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
5
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to the very first round in the 2024 to 2025 FTR Events Production Car Challenge Plus. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm delighted to have Ed May in the commentary box with me for this first round of the season here at Circuito de Navarra in Spain, an incredible racing complex which has actually been owned and bought by MSV, and it's a company that you'll see a lot over in the UK, but their first abroad circuit here in Spain is a real treat. A bit of a Tilcadrome vibe to it, and I'm not sure about you, Ed, but the first section reminds me a lot of Portimao. Hello, and what do you reckon we've got lined up for this evening with these four classes and this awesome circuit?
Yeah, well, hopefully it has a lot similar with Portimao, because it does provide some excellent racing, does that circuit in Portugal. And here, obviously, at Navarra, we've got some excellent racing, hopefully on the cards, multi-class as well. It is basically the Production Car Challenge Plus, because we've got those extra sort of classes and sort of the extra level of driver that you tend to get more in the league races than you would do in the official. So fingers crossed that also ups the standard that we'll see tonight as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a huge field of drivers out there this evening, I should say, and we will have for the season as well. We have 4 rounds of the championship over the course of this campaign. We start, of course, with the first round here tonight at Navarra, as you can all see. And with the schedule, we head to Charlotte Motor Speedway on the 5th of January, so the next one will be in January. There's a bit of an uneven break in the schedule, but obviously with Christmas and New Year, we can't go racing week after week after week. We then come back 2 weeks after that and come to Snetterton in the UK for January the 19th. And then a few weeks later, on the 2nd of February, the season will be complete at Daytona in America. So a bit of a blast here and there on some MSV circuits, Ed, and then some legendary rovals, let's say, over in the United States. It should be an absolute riot, this.
Yeah, Daytona's going to be a real treat as well. Obviously, here on Chaz Draycott Media, we love a good race at Daytona. We've seen it plenty of times in special events that we've run, and also just championship races for the Sim Racing magazine events that are run here on the channel as well. I'm going to really look forward to see what will happen there. As they're knocking 7 bells and then some out of one another. Ooh, and they're still going on, actually. Thankfully, this is just practice. The final minutes ticking by as we're about to get underway with qualifying.
One of the Toyotas there had a really, really good squeeze in the middle of that gap. This is the BMW M2 CS Racing, which has come to iRacing very, very recently in the latest update. And typically, out of all the cars I've decided to show everybody, Patrick Gannon is one of the only ones I've not put down with a team name. So if you bear with me, we'll get that. There may be a bit of that as we go on. I'm quite amazed, actually, that he's down as Patrick Gannon and not Gammon with the little shade of pink that he's got on that lovely BMW. I think I'm having Gammon on Christmas Day as well. I can't wait. But still, it's great to be back for a new series on the channel. It's the first time in a while that we've had a new championship come our way, Ed. But there's new names, new liveries, and new talent to get used to on this grid, which is going to be mighty exciting.
Yeah, I think the last new championship that we've had on board is the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 League, which is going to be making its return very soon, actually, isn't it, Chaz, to the channel. So it'll be good to have them back, but also great to have new faces on board. We'll have to obviously get used to that over the course of the season, the different liveries, the different teams, also just the drivers that we aren't quite familiar with, mixing with some old favourites to the channel.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few drivers in there that have been in series that I've hosted before, and I'm excited to see who comes out on top out of those drivers. We've got the MX-5s then in the third of the 4 classes. We have the BMW M2s as the quickest cars out there on the circuit. They're the sort of lead class in this one. And then we have, of course, the Toyota GR86s. Lovely bits of kit. I've commentated on a series of those before, and Ed has actually raced in that very series as well. We've also got the Volkswagen Jetta, a favourite of many people on iRacing. Love this car. I've hosted series with this before. And this is Black Bob Wallace, and he is in the 666 machine, but there are some names out there that I recognise. It's great to see this man back on my screens again. Jack Johns, he messaged me just recently and said he missed working with me. It's great to see Jack back on screens as well. Stephen Burns, another one as well, who we've had on the channel before. Sam Van Olst, Jake Cranstone, multiple champion of series that we've commentated on together, Ed. And even this man, Donny Alpha Henriksen. He was in the Chaz Draycott Media European Touring Car Championship back with the Kia a while ago. It's great to see Donny Alpha back on. And look at this Jetta. This is what I'm looking forward to tonight. If this thing isn't getting around the corner enough, just put more lock on and keep your foot in. It's brilliant.
It sounds like the tyres are louder than the engine.
They are.
It's not got a lot of grunt to it, but you can really hear how much the drivers are having to use every ounce of grip available to them. This is obviously the start of the qualifying session. Drivers basically having just themselves and the track for 10 minutes to try and set the fastest time, not needing to worry about traffic just as well, considering we have a, what is this, like 45 new 50 car grid.
Yes, 55 cars registered for the series, and it's going to be an absolute riot to try and keep up with them. Let's hop on board with the BMW M2 CS Racing, shall we? Fantastic cup car by BMW, and you can see the new debris refresh as well here on iRacing. You will see a lot of marbles, a lot of dust, and a lot of gravel on the edge of the circuit, which will be interesting to see, especially over a long race like this. 1 hour and 40 minutes, quite the endurance race around Navarra. Drivers will have to be mighty careful of traffic, because during practice we only had 7 seconds covering the whole field, Ed, and when we've got one class that's enough. As Sven Demi deciding to, well, take the Portimao line actually around the first corner.
Yeah, running just a little bit too deep, but again, not necessarily all about qualifying, is it? It'll obviously help you for the opening phase of the race, but with the length of time to go, like you say, 1 hour 40 minutes, does mean that the drivers will have opportunities to make amends should their qualifying not go the way they've planned. It's not just the 10 minutes though, it's basically 10 minutes to complete 4 laps.
Yes.
So the drivers don't have necessarily all of the time in the world to play with, just basically enough to get them through for those 4 laps, and then no more times available for them. Seeing drivers coming onto the circuit now. Richard Cawthorpe, one of the latest to make his way out onto the circuit in his BMW M2. Lovely little livery there. Reminds me a bit of a rocket lolly.
Yeah.
Not
I was
quite
just
the weather
thinking that,
for
you know. No, it's definitely not. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got a lot of drivers out on circuit. I'm just trying to keep an eye on who is where and see who's the nearest to completing a lap. I think Ben Chalcraft, actually, who it's great to see out there in this DTM-inspired livery. He's got the Saltaire Brewery branding on it, as he has in many other series. But good God, that car looks amazing in that livery, doesn't it? Wow, that's awesome. Love that. Ben has always run interesting liveries. I'm a bit upset that he hasn't bothered to ask me for a Spontex livery, but that's all right, Ben. Don't you worry, I'm not going to hold it against you at all. We've got Stephen King on the circuit as well. And Stephen is another driver that's raced in many series before. He's in the Pulsus livery. We've got the first times coming through on the board there. We've got Giovanni Romano, the Canadian driver, at the moment leading the way in the Huge Ass team. I've seen that livery many a times as well. I believe they are usually an Australian contingent, but I think they have an American sort of division as well. But this Beamer, it looks fantastic. It just looks unreal in terms of like its body language, lick of flame here and there. But you can see how stiff it is as a cup car. It bounces around and bobbles a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not necessarily going to be too forgiving if you get into a mistake as a result of just how stiff it is. Doesn't necessarily like the curbs too much. You can see it just having a little bit of a kick out at the rear end, nothing too major. It's a car that's very forgivable, but does allow you, I think, just to push that little bit more, and I think the best drivers can really get a lot of pace out of them. Same as well, actually, with this, the GR86, a car that I really did enjoy racing on the series that I think you'd broadcast, Chaz. It was a very exciting race. I find that with these sorts of cars, they just lend themselves so well to some great close racing, even if they're not necessarily the most favoured car in iRacing officials nowadays. It's sort of very underutilised. I'm glad to see it getting some love here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. You'll see wheels off the ground and all sorts of angles with this car. It's got a lot of body language about it, but that's why the production car challenge is so exciting, because they're not hyper cars. They're not ridiculously powered, high downforce machines. They are very, well, they're just road car based machines. I've just realised I need to remove the spec maps from some of the Jettas, because I ran a league of Jettas a while ago and all the spec maps are still on the cars. So I do apologise to any of the drivers that think, why is my livery wrong? I'm doing it. Don't you worry, I'm doing it. But we'll get rid of all of those that were on the cars. We'll just give them a quick refresh, because this man, Henry Morse, is one of the drivers that was in the British Boring Car Championship that I used to host, where we used super touring liveries on the old Jettas. He's currently quickest out of the Jettas as well, and it's all names that I've seen before, actually. Eric Manintveld also right up there, and the Masters of Blobby livery. Now, there's a squad called Masters of Torque that are racing in this, and they had Mr. Blobby liveries on all the cars for some endurance races and some charity races as well, simply with the fact that I hate pink cars and pink wheels. So they sort of did it as they were going to use it as a dig for me, and I think they just ran with it for endurance events. At the moment, it is Romano fastest in the BMW M2s, and it is Andrew Sharp quickest in the Toyota GR86s. You can see his livery just loading up there. Ivan Bremer in the Mazda MX-5 is actually quicker than a lot of the GT86s. If I show you on the left-hand side there, you can see the class colours, and you can see he's quickest, a long way ahead of Chris Flamion in the other Mazda MX-5, another one of the huge-ass drivers. Then Miles Owens is third at the moment in said class. Henry Morse ahead of Jake Cranstone. Sam Van Olst is then ahead of Stephen King a bit further down the order. There's a lot of drivers, and there's actually a number of them, Ed, that haven't set times yet. Alex Marsh King, Alex Coffard, Brandon Hughes, Pedro Barbosa, Chris Schofer, Justin Michaela, and Matt Acton as well, not setting a livery just yet.
Yeah, Matt Acton not really setting a time just now. So he's got a very nice lick of paint there. Hopefully he'll be able to climb the order. You can just hear him having to take a couple of stabs at the throttle going through this final sector, just not quite having the car lined up the way he wants it. Turns in very sharply though, these MX-5s. They've got a lot of mechanical grip. They're so great. I know obviously both you and I, Chaz, at different periods in our commentating career, never together, but we have both worked on the British Sim Racers MX-5 Championship before, and that was some amazing races on there, and I have sort of missed the MX-5, so I've not commentated them since then, so it's great to have them back on our screens and hopefully see what they can do in this multi-class. They're going to be sort of just in that awkward spot behind the GR86s, ahead of the Jettas.
Yeah, there's going to be quite the mix of the classes as well, which will be interesting. We'll obviously keep an eye on it as it is on the left-hand side there, where we'll show the individual classes, and you'll all get an idea of who is where relative to their competitors. But we'll also try and keep up to date with the drivers being sort of in a full field and show you when there's a bit of a mix. This is a great livery on this. This is Alejandro Garcia de la Mata, which is a fantastic racing driver name, in the M2 class. Even down the straight, that car is bobbling around like mad, isn't it? It's like it's got a buckaroo in the back of it, just hopping off the ground. We'll go on board and just see. Does it feel like that when you're in here as well? It certainly looks like it's very stiff and flat. But that's one thing I love about iRacing, and what makes it easier to commentate on than a lot of other sims, actually, Ed. And I'm sure you'll agree, you get an idea more of what the car is doing on iRacing. You can see much more natural movement as he runs out of fuel.
Yeah, running the car very short on the fuel as we see waiting qualifying to come to its conclusion. Just looking up and down through the classes as it stands, it is Giovanni Romano who will be on pole position in the BMW M2 class, ahead of Austin Farr and Tom Mahler. They're in third. Got obviously the Mazda MX-5s, and Ivan Bremer, very quick indeed, but he's actually not been used up. There's changed up and down the order. It's Alex Marsh King, I think, that's just put in a better time. He has actually.
Yes. Alex Marsh King goes fastest in the MX-5s. And
although he's not in the MX-5, he's in the BMW, I think.
Oh.
I think he's been put in the wrong class, maybe.
Oh, I have him down as MX-5. We'll have to confirm that in the meantime, as the session comes to an end. And we now have a bit of silence for a moment. We have a 5-minute warm-up session anyway, so hopefully if Alex heads to the circuit, we can confirm his class and make sure that he's definitely in that car, because I think you're right, actually, Ed, because he didn't have a car logo next to his name on our overlay, and when he is in the MX-5, you do get that car logo. So hopefully Alex Marsh King will show up.
One heck of a MX-5. It was 5 seconds faster, I think it was,
right,
at the end of qualifying. So it would have to have a jet engine in the back of his MX-5, I think, for that sort of pace relative to the competition. So we should hopefully see him out on circuit. We can get that sorted out for the remainder of the race, just so the overlays all look nice and organised. Thankfully, we do, like you say, Chaz, have this little warm-up period to get it all sorted out.
Yeah, he's not heading on the circuit yet, so
Heading out now, unfortunately.
yeah, we'll add him on as the BMW. Oh, he is actually. Hello. Yes, that's not an MX-5. That is very much not an MX-5. So, God knows where I've had my information from there. But he is in the middle of the pack in the. Actually, hang on. I've got Alex King, but not an Alex Marsh King. I think it's just Alex King. I'll update it, everyone. Don't you worry. We're here. We'll do it.
So, Alex definitely in the BMW, managed to get a time in just at the end of qualifying, just so he has that grid position ahead of classes in behind. Not really wanting to get involved in the mix-up between the two sort of groups. Not really where you want to be in these multi-class endurance races, because you do lose a lot of time in the traffic, and it's going to be something that we're going to talk about constantly throughout the course of the broadcast. Is going to be about the traffic management, and while the drivers can obviously show that pace in qualifying, even if you're a good qualifier, that doesn't mean squat if you can't race well in amongst cars of slower classes and make yourself very predictable, making sure you minimize the time loss when you're stuck behind, say, a MX-5 or a Jetta when you're behind the wheel of those faster classes.
Yeah, definitely, and it's interesting to see as well that the daylight may be a bit of cause for concern for the drivers and visibility, because, as you can see on the right-hand side there, it is the real date. It's December the 15th, 2024 in the sim, as well as, obviously, here in real life. But also, that means that the sun goes down sooner, so it's 20 to 4, roughly, in the sim right now, and that time is progressing. It's not fixed to be the same time throughout the whole race. So this lovely sunset that we're getting will continue on into the race. I'm not sure how much the time will advance between sessions, between now and the start of the race. We'll keep an eye on that, but it does mean that the sun will be setting as the race goes on, and I think it's going to look absolutely marvellous, I should say, as the shadows get longer and longer. It seems like there's some of the same guys from the same team in the MX-5 leading the way here, and Andy Fox, great to see you in the chat. Great to see everyone in the chat, by the way. Hello, everyone. Andy Fox saying he loves the pressure units. Yes, yeah, 3 million HPA is very, very high air pressure. Standard air pressure in aviation is 1,013 hectopascals. That is sort of like room temperature, effectively. So, yeah, whatever that is probably the sort of hectopascals of the centre of the sun. So hopefully there's not too much pressure on the drivers tonight, as there's contact between a GR86 and a Beamer, and Alex Coffard trying to squeeze his way through. That's another difficult bit about tonight, isn't it, Ed? The difference between all the drivers, pace-wise, is not going to be huge, so trying to navigate lapped traffic is going to be mighty difficult.
It will be. It's going to be so tough for the drivers to contend with, to be able to... Ooh, look at that. Jack John's getting all sorts of sideways and bouncing around there. Just getting to grips with the Jetta once more. It's been a while, hasn't it, since we've seen Jack Johns behind the wheel of a Jetta. He's got some familiar company in behind him, doesn't he, there, of Jeremy Agard.
Yeah, Jeremy Agard right with him there, Swiss driver. One of the Masters of Torque liveries. It's a livery that we see across multiple other cars, but I do love the Jetta, because just listen. There's no disturbance. You can hear exactly what the car is doing underneath you at all times. It's lovely like that. And you can short shift like mad in this thing as well, because the low down torque with it being a diesel is amazing. Also, the length of time this car can go on one tank of fuel is nuts. In a 24-hour race... Oh, hello, there's a wall there, son. In the 24-hour races, those cars can go so long on a tank of fuel that they cut out so many pit stops compared to a lot of the other cars in the field. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've just noticed as well, actually. We'll notice this in the race as well, but the pit entry did not look too kind, did it? It looked really quite unpleasant to go through, so the drivers will have that to worry about as well during the race, which is about to get underway now as the cars make their way to the grid.
They absolutely will, and it's going to be one hell of a grid. I can tell you that for free. We will make our way through it, as they are actually having... They are all grouped up, which is lovely. So the classes will take off from the grid individually which is going to make our lives a lot easier, to say the least. I'm just trying to find Jackson Lowry, because at my end, Jackson is in a Toyota, but his car number colour is a different colour on here, and it's really upsetting my potential OCD. So I'm going to try and find him and make sure that's fixed. Although, no, Jackson Lowry is not wasn't given to us as a driver, so he's another one where I'm going to have to add him into the Toyota. It seems like there's been entries right up until the death here, so it's been good to see that the popularity has grown and grown and grown right up until the final moments before everything gets underway today. But Jackson Lowry has now been updated, and we will get through the grid for you all as they begin their formation laps. So, Giovanni Romano starts on pole position with Austin Farr, well, not too far away. Tom Mayle starts on row 2 alongside Alex Coffard. We then have Alejandro Garcia de la Mata with Sven Demmel alongside him on row 3. They are together. They're actually the other way around on the timing. This is strange. Patrick Gannon is next up in car number 110. Ben Chalcraft alongside him in the BMWs. Then it's Richard Cawthraw and Miguel Sousa completing the top 10. Brooks Clayton lines up alongside Pedro Barbosa in the M2s, with Connor Hatfield and Alex King completing the class. Top of the Toyota GR86s is Milan Vukovic, and he has got Andrew Sharp for company on row 8. George Gruber is next, or Georg Gruber I should say. John Coombs alongside him on the 18th spot. Then we have Darren Bai with Evan Campbell alongside him. Ryan Chevalier is 21st with Ron Wolf next up. Then we've got João Marta Costa alongside Chris Schofer on the 12th row. And rounding out the GR86s, Paul Hendricks, brother of Jimmy, with Jackson Lowry in 26th. Ivan Bremer and Dan Pepples are the front two in the MX-5s. Martin Pearson and Chris Flamion are next up, rounding out the top 30 cars. Miles Owens and Matt Acton start on row 16, with Justin Michaela in 33rd. Henry Morse fastest in the Jettas, with Jake Cranstone and Sam Van Olst on row 18. Then we have Stephen King and Eric Manintveld, with Patrick Dopar, another one from previous series, with Jeremy Agard in 40th. Then we have Stephen Burns and Donny Alpha Henriksen, Jack Johns and Black Bob Wallace, and then Brandon Hughes and Dave Hernandez. Just behind them is Jackson Lowry, who doesn't seem to be starting the race, and that completes our massive, massive grid, Ed. It looks wonderful, doesn't it? He's stunned to silence, everybody.
MXI is really getting into it here, Chaz. You can see him there. Look how much weaving they're doing. I was just noticing, I was going to talk about the BMWs we saw at the start, actually, how much they were weaving. But then we came to the MX-5s, and they're really trying to work some heat into their tyres. A little bit of the dust getting kicked up as well on the offline. You can really see it working now on iRacing. Sort of brand new off-track, what do they call it? The debris
refresh system.
Refresh.
Yes.
They've got implemented and being shown off to a great effect. I wonder how that's going to affect, obviously, the drivers, essentially how they'll have to deal with incidents, probably having to slow down a lot more offline because they're going to have just no grip out there, look. Yeah,
look at all the gravel, all the marbles. It's going to be a bit treacherous later on in the race, especially through some of the problem corners where drivers will be spinning a lot more. I'm certainly looking forward to how this one gets underway then. But the very first round of the FTR Events Production Car Challenge Plus is underway from Navarra, and it's Giovanni Romano and Austin Farr side by side. But look at that on the left hand side, Tom Mayle in car 30. No, actually it's Alex Coffard on the left hand side, sorry. Tom Mayle is pushing the race leader forward to make it 3 wide around the first couple of corners. There's nearly contact between the leaders. This is a 1 hour and 40 minute race, gentlemen. Chill out, for crying out loud. All the Beamers clumping together through the first couple of corners. Here are the GR86s, Vukovic and Gruber side by side, and then behind them as well, Coombs and Sharp swapping positions. Then we look further back and we've got the MX-5s. It's a 1-2 for that particular team. SSS by the look of it, I think it is, or SRS, around the first couple of corners, and then come the diesel machines, and it is Henry Morse still leading the way there. Romano has lost the race lead and then got it back again from Farr, still side by side. And a bit of contact there between Farr and Coffard. Still just rubbing panels, but that's what these BMWs are good for. They can give each other fantastic racing when they have these really, really close moments. They are able to survive it and carry on. And look at the pace difference here, Ed. There's barely any movement from the GR86s dropping away.
No, there isn't. They're starting to form a bit more into single file, though, the GR86s, compared to those BMWs. Still going side by side. Farr and Coffard once more. Going 2x2, and this is Coffard right around the outside. Is he able to get the momentum all the way through and keep his nose alongside in towards the next corner, the right-hander? He's going to be right up there in the midst of it. Tom Mayle going to concede the outside.
He's there somewhere.
somewhere in the midst of it. I think he's been able to, hang on to that third place. Starting now to calm it down. I say that actually as who's that down at the inside? That's Alejandro.
Yeah,
Garcia looking for a little bit of a move. Don't think it pulled off though for him. He's having to slot back in now. Further back towards the GR86s. Still Vukovic leading. Gruber's actually up a place in towards second place in the GR86s. So they're having a good start so far. Andrew Sharp there in third, and then in behind. Well, look at the Jettas go.
Paul Hendricks in the GR86 is actually losing a few places to some of the MX-5s here. We ride on board with Chris Flamion, and Chris right now is side by side with Dan Pepples. Martin Pearson and Ivan Bremer are just further ahead. He's managed to concede that one, but there's actually a car on his right hand side as well as they go into the first couple of corners. That's a 39 machine of Justin Michaela heading through. Looked like our race leader in this class was very sideways there. Dan Pepples, is third in class, but yes, very rightly so. Looking back at the Jettas, they're actually catching GR86s and MX-5s here. This is fantastic already.
Yeah, I mean, the Jettas aren't really the fastest cars around here, but if they've got battles going up ahead of them, they're of course going to gain, aren't they?
They're so quick in the corners, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They are so quick in the corners, these Jettas, because they are just so planted and stiff. You can just put more lock on and kick their heads in everywhere. That's one of the best things about racing these Jettas, is that they can carry so much corner speed. If we go on board, actually, with Henry Morse on the bonnet. Actually, let's go on the roll bar of his car. You'll see the GR86 will stretch its legs a little bit down the straight now. Just as the Jetta gets to about 150 k's, the GR86 will move away, but just watch it in the corners and on the brakes. He can just throw it in and have so much confidence in it and just keep putting the lock on. And because when you get on the power as well, it's a front-wheel drive car, not rear-wheel drive, and not able to spin up the rears like the cars ahead of it, it's just so much more user-friendly, I think is the name, isn't it?
Nearly turned his wheel 180 degrees there with the amount of lock he's put in.
But look, he's able to have a go at a GR86 in front of him. I love that livery on Paul Hendricks' car, but I don't think that Henry Morse is going to want to look at it long enough because he's got guys all over the back of him.
Yeah, that's right behind him, Jake Cranstone in the Jetta again, the driver that we know is no slouch in any bit of kitty drives, but especially behind the wheel of a Jetta, he is able to do some very exciting things, so we're going to have to watch him throughout the course of the evening. It's just onto this areas where the Jettas will start to struggle, isn't it? They just don't have the grunt.
They really don't. Richard Cawthor's hoping that his Beamer's got the grunt, because Alex King, right behind him at the moment, who's definitely not in an MX-5, let us remind you, is making his way through the order. He's gained 4 places. Ben Chalcraft's had a bit of a problem start, and he's lost 3 places from where his race began. Aidan Millward in the chat saying problem corners. Jonathan Ledgard's favourite. Thank you very much for joining us, Aidan. Great to see you. And yes, indeed, I'm not sure if I ever showed you the livery that Tom Brooks and I ran in Jimmy Broadbent's Get This Bread endurance race a while ago, but we were called There's a Problem There Racing, powered by Chaz Lington and Tom Brooks Media, and we had a big picture of Jonathan Ledgard on the roof of the car. He always used to just shout, "There's a problem there," whenever there was any form of incident for anyone, and we paid homage to that. He even liked it and retweeted it, I'm pretty sure, when we showed him the livery, bless him. But there's definitely no problems for our race leader at the moment, Giovanni Romano, fantastic race driver name as well, starting to break away in these M2s from Austin Farr. He's got Tom Mayle right behind him.
Yeah, Tom is really just putting pressure on, but knows that it is a very long race still to go. 1 hour, 40 minutes, as you can see on the top left of your screen. We've still got ages to go in this race, but as you can see, the driver's treating it like a sprinter's diving up the inside. Tom Mayle fancies a move, doesn't he, on Austin, but just no real opportunities, isn't able to get the power down out of that final corner. Then towards the GR86s that have got some MX-5s for company as well, actually. Ivan Bremer is ahead of Chris Sofa. He's not going to be taking this sitting down his sofa. He's going to be really going for this, trying to get back up the order. get back ahead of those pesky MX-5s.
Oh, God, Ed. Oh, we're 6 minutes in. We've got the Jettas still battling it out as if it's the final lap, but you'll get this with Jettas. This always happens. Henry Morse, Jake Cranstone, Sam Van Olst, and then poor Paul Hendricks in this little GR86 is sort of lost in the city skyline of these Jettas. We've got Bob Wallace and Brandon Hughes, Dave Hernandez still in the pack as well, but a little bit further back. There's been some moves further up. Here's Chevalier, and he is side by side and now actually ahead of John Combs. Just moves in front of the number 25 machine. He's moved up 3 places so far, has Chevalier. He continues to make great strides forward. It's great to see such an American presence in this community as well. It's led by, from what I know actually, it's a bunch of British guys, but they are doing a wonderful job with bringing a huge amount of an American contingent over to the situation. It was this man, Rich Cawthraw, that got in touch with me and wanted me to broadcast the series, and it's been great to work with him and his admins and piece together this. Admittedly, I've done a lot of it last minute, but it's just been a case of, right, throw information at me and I'll have it together, and we've brought it into one big piece, and hopefully you all enjoy it. Pipa Diaz says he's here for the green M2. Now, we're going to have to go through the order. There it is. Did I just pick the right one? Oh, I was 2 away. Miguel Sousa in the green M2, car number 31, unless that's not the only green one, but it's very pretty, and that's sort of, it's like a military khaki colour scheme. I have to remain biased, unfortunately, and say Ben Chalcraft is prettier, but it's a fantastic homage livery. What on God's earth is that thing 3 cars back?
The Technicolor dream coat there of Brooks Clayton.
What on God's earth am I looking at? Oh my
I mean,
word.
that's the face I'm pulling when looking at this, going,
That's horrendous, but brilliant all at once. Oh my, what does it say? I can't read it. Esports powered by something I don't want to know. Let's slow it down. Powered by beef, or is it beer? It's probably beer.
Beer, I think.
I wish it was beef. Something.
Oh.
Thonk Esports, Motorsport, SimSport Racing, powered by beer. Fantastic.
Also got the huge ass logo on the rear bumper as well. So obviously partnered with that team.
Yes.
Good little. You can see just that little.
So you say it posher than me.
Of the huge ass.
Yeah. You say it a bit more suggestively than huge ass. If I remember rightly, it was David Haynes that was associated with that team. I also love this, by the way, the Panasonic Denso livery on Milan Vukovic's GR86. What a great-looking race car that is. Georg Gruber's livery is quite nice as well, this dark blue with the white, the Torque Freak racing machine. Some great-looking race cars, but you know what? I think this GR86 is one of those cars where, as long as you've got a well-put-together livery, it will always look good on it, because it's quite a curvy car, but also quite a pointy car at the same time. It's a really interesting shape, and so is this battle as well, as Vukovic leads sharp. Andrew wanting to get through at the earliest possible convenience, and it has been pointed out to me that Henry Morse has lost the lead of the Jetta class. He has dropped down a number of positions. Is there any telltale damage on the car? We'll have to see. Let's just have a ganders back at what on earth happened to Henry as he tries to flip in. Heck, I've got to scroll a long time to find out where he lost these positions.
Well, actually, there's Jack Johns has just gotten through on Henry. So when it rains, it tends to pour.
Maybe he's just given up.
Henry's getting that's the second position that he's lost out. That was Donny just getting by him. So now he's dropped all the way down into 8th place.
So he's already lost a position at this point to Jake Cranstone. He's got Sam Van Olst behind him, which means he's probably going to get fired off the circuit at some point. He's just sort of moved over out of the way.
Just doesn't.
Sorry, Sam.
Just doesn't have like any pace whatsoever. It's not like a case of he's not driving hard. It's just the car just doesn't seem to have any power.
He was bored of leading, that's what it was. He's just given up. He was bored of leading, so he went, watch this, I'll drop back a little bit and I'll start overtaking everyone. Anyway, we've got a battle here with whatever the hell this livery is. This is Evan Campbell in a very donut-covered GR86. He has got a car right behind him. Ben Chalcraft. It's possibly the prettiest car on the grid, and it is, well, the most in the barrier car on the grid. Nice, Ben. Style it out, son. I like that. We'll have a look, though. We've got to show off Ben's accident. He's going to love us. Now this Beamer, it can break away from you. It's got a lot of power. As, flipping heck. That's how easy it is to do. He's actually not hit the wall very hard there. Apparently, Henry Morse has got qualifying fuel in the car, so he's trying to stretch it out so he doesn't have to 3-stop. Max is asking where is Jackson Lowry. Jackson is, unfortunately, very bottom of the pile in 46th position, which is ironic considering he's car 46. But he didn't take the start of the race. He was in the pits. Matt Acton has just had a spin, and he's losing places now to all the diesel brigade that are just trundling their way by, so he's going to have to try and pick them apart very, very soon. It's close further up the order as well still between these BMWs. Alejandro Garcia de la Mata and Sven Demel. A bit too close there for Sven's liking maybe, as he has to park it on the exit. But the conditions and just everything about this race looking lovely right now, Ed.
Yeah, and it is only going to get darker, so I really do look forward to seeing what it's going to be like when that light really does start to dim down and the headlights come on. We're going to get into the golden hour, if we aren't there already, aren't we? Where a lot of these new liveries that we haven't seen before are really going to start to come into their own. But currently on board with Sven Demel. Got a great view, doesn't he, of the rear end of Alejandro Garcia, but wants to get ahead of it and focus on Alex Coffard, Tom Mahler, Austin Farr, and then Giovanni Romano as well. Still a lot of time to go in this race now, about an hour and a half remaining. Come to Pedro Barbosa. In a great little battle, isn't it, in the midst of this battle. That blue BMW we just go on board with now. A little bit of damage actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Front end, not going to be doing him any favours whatsoever. I think the drivers do get a fast repair, but it needs to obviously be taken at a time where you know that you're not going to be getting any more damage later on in the race. And if you can manage with it in the state that it's in currently, it might be worth saving it for a time where you'll definitely want it.
Yeah, you can just crack on with it, and even if you can't feel it, it's a little bit eager on the throttle there. It's quite funny, actually, in a way, that the car has had its nose pushed in from clearly hitting the back of another car, and it's got Mode Push Motorsports written down the side of it, so clearly he's on Mode Push from the get-go of this race. He's also got the dazzling Brooks Clayton just behind him. Chris Schofer has been off the road and lost a bunch of places. Whoa, some dramas further up as well. Oh, I hope he doesn't get clipped by, yeah, that one. Oh, that was lively from the 34 machine. That was João Marta Costa, and he certainly cost Chris a bunch of positions there. What on earth was it that happened in front? Was Martin Pearson involved? Martin Pearson went off the track. Yes, he's got João Marta Costa just ahead of him. Let's keep our eye on this. Is he just going to clip? Oh no, he's actually had his own little spin. And João Marta Costa had his shenanigans a little bit after that. So let's see where this all went pear-shaped for João Marta Costa. He's got the 29 machine, the MX-5, right up behind him, having a go. He backs out of it. Oh, then the MX-5's gone deep. And then does he just... Oh, yeah, they've both gone deep. Bit of net code on the exit. Yeah, I don't think Zhao's done much wrong there, but unfortunately this is going to go down like a cup of cold sick with the organisers. That straight back onto the racing line and piles the number 28 machine off the road. Ouch.
Yeah, looking at it, it didn't really hurt the MX-5's race too much actually down.
No, he straightened up.
Still in second place and he's carried on going. So even though there was quite a lot of net code there that caused the contact between the pair of them, at least the initial contact between the MX-5 and the GR86, it seems like Dan was able to dust himself off and keep going. But Ivan Roma, great start to the race for him. He's currently leading the MX-5 class right in the midst of the Toyotas as well, so he's got a little bit of a buffer to the cars behind.
Yeah, he's actually got a little bit of clear air as well. We ride on board with Ivan now, actually, the Dutch driver. Car number 36 going very well. It's a long time since I've been on board with the MX-5 and listened to it, actually. Spent many hours racing these things. I do love this car. It's a riot to drive on iRacing. The latest update to it as well made it even more lively and a little bit more prone to spinning, so you can't just plant it everywhere, which is one of the fun things about it. It's one of the best cars to really learn car control with on iRacing as well. I mean, it is sort of meant as the sort of primary rookie road series where you get to drive a car that does have enough power to spin up and lose the rear end given push, but it's also very grippy as well. It moves around very well, does the MX-5. He does have company, does Bremer, but it's Campbell and he's just back there. He's just over a second behind. However, if we go vice versa on this, and we look back from a GR86, you can see there's an MX-5 right behind Ron Wolf, which is Dan Peppels, and he has João Marta Costa behind him now. He's probably going to be screaming in his rear view mirror at the fact that João is right up with him in this situation. As they head down the start-finish straight, it is already going down. Look at the MX-5 in a straight line.
Yeah. They've got a lot of pace about them. They're very light with a nice big engine. Not really big, but it makes an awful racket, doesn't it?
Oh, João.
Costa.
Oh, that's the second messy moment in a few minutes we've seen for João. He's not painted a great picture of himself in the last few moments, so let's look away. Let's save him his blushes and look at some of the M2s further up. We've actually need to look a bit further ahead of this because Alex Coffard has still got Garcia de la Mata and Demel right behind him, or he nearly didn't then for a second as Demel lobbed it sideways. Romano leads, Far second, Mail in third. Then we've got Vukovic leading the Sharp and Gruber duo, which is like a bad solicitors in the GR86s.
I think they're all chopping and changing from my end, Chaz. I think Sharp was just getting through on Vukovic for maybe a moment. It may have just been my timing software, but you can see the pair of them very close together. They actually have dropped Gruber, who was right up there with them.
Yeah, Gruber's about 5 seconds back in third place, but he's going to be enjoying that no man's land at the moment. That's nice to have in a race like this because you can just focus on your own race, your own pace, and not overdo it. It's Ivan Bremer, as we were saying, leading the MX-5s with Dan Peppels, then Justin Michaela in third position. He's gained 10 places during this race so far. Then we have Jake Cranstone leading the Jettas ahead of Sam Van Olst and Stephen King next up. We have all 46 cars running. Jackson Lowry still running as well. Dave Hernandez, the next Jetta, ahead of them. You can see the Doge number plate on the back of the car. Tail racing, apparently the apex is lava. And Dave has just shown us that by not getting too close to it. Brandon Hughes has just had a bit of a moment, but look at this now. Lapped traffic for these BMWs to deal with. This is going to be mighty interesting.
Yeah, the BMW is by far the fastest car in the race by a good margin. I think it's around about 5 seconds, 5-6 seconds a lap. They are quicker than the second fastest, those GR86s. So they're going to be coming up to traffic fairly frequently, and I think we are getting to that point now where we start to see the first of sort of the lap traffic having its impact on the race. As we've got a lovely little side-by-side, don't we, between Justin, Kayla. I think that was Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson, he's going to get a lovely move to go through all of them.
Yeah, that was
stuff there by Martin.
Flamion trying to hold on to the position. Martin Pearson says, I'll have a bit of that. Thanks very much. Look behind them as well now. Miles Owens wants a bit of this. Miles is going to have the best view in the house for all of these. But this is going to be, hopefully, a showcase of just how good the racing is with these MX-5s. They are nimble little machines. Very lively again. Another car that shows off a lot of body language. Jackson Lowry has unfortunately had another moment where he has come to a stop. Henry Morse has come into the pit lane in the VW Jetta, and he's left the pits already. He's been in there for 20 seconds, had a splash of fuel. He's now back out of the pit lane. But some great racing going on all through the pack. We'll keep our eyes on as much as we can for you all and show you these battles in class, particularly where we can, because let's not forget, in the championship it is down to particular class results. So even if these BMWs have a GR86 between them, there'd be no point trying to stress about it on the final lap if you are the BMW behind, trying to get ahead of said GR86, because it won't gain you any championship points. The best thing to do is just focus about the BMWs around you. As De La Mata there, just giving a bit of a kiss to Alex Coffard. The front bumper hopped off for a second, and then iRacing remembered that it's not that sensitive, and then reloaded it. But if I was De La Mata, I'd want to give that position back, but that's just me, I'm soft.
Yeah, I think you might just be a little bit of a soft touch there, Chaz, to be fair. It's a racing driver. We'll have a look to see you on board, but if the contact was heavy, then I might be with you, but... Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, right, but I'm with you on that one, actually, Chaz. You know what? I thought the contact was a little bit lighter than what it appeared to be on board with Alejandro, but yeah, I think I'm with you. It's one that you'd probably prefer to give back, but might not have a choice about this because Alex is going to be right up behind him, pushing him every way from Sunday, isn't he, in towards turn one.
This is Jackson Lowry's moment not too long ago. He's just had a spin. Is he just going to lose it on the brakes? Oh, yeah, he just downshifted and it snaps. Ben Chalcraft's on the scene. There he goes. And we also just had a moment for one of our favourites, unfortunately. João Marta Costa has had a drama as he hit that inside curb again. We saw him smack it earlier. Oh no, I hope this doesn't involve a Jetta. Now he's coming up to lap these cars here, is João Marta Costa. We're going to stick with this, because we've got a moment here. I'll keep an eye on any important position changes, but João Marta has had some sort of drama here. Hopefully he doesn't just send it on a Jetta and kill them, because he's got that in front of him. There is Bob Wallace. I think Brandon Hughes was... No, he was already ahead of Brandon Hughes at this point. There's a big gap of about 20 seconds between them. Stephen Burns is in there too. We saw some smoke on the circuit when there'd been a drama, but I don't know if he's just pulled the car over or what here, but it's just said he's jumped to the pits. So we'll see if we can catch... contact with a Beamer. That was one of the lead cars as well. That was the number 12 machine. That was Austin Farr, second placed in the race. Gets hit as, Costa, unfortunately, by the look of it, turned across him as they went there. Just didn't expect the BM down the inside.
No, again, it's something that the drivers will get used to over the course of the season if they haven't raced in this sort of configuration with the production car challenge. João Marta Costa back out, though, on the track, which is good to see. Still a long time to go in this race. As possible. Watch out for the fast approaching Jettas. You can just see them now. I think that's Jake Cranstone.
That's class leader, yep.
Class leader just coming through.
Oh, but he's parked it on the apex. João, what are you doing?
Well,
what are you...
Oh,
no, goodness me. The MX-5 crosses the border from Portugal. Flipping heck. Now they're 3 wide. He needs to back out of this. He doesn't need to fight these guys. He's in the way. Oh, it's getting messy there. I don't know who that MX-5 was. Yeah, the BMW's going through. That's our race leader. That's Giovanni Romano in the thick of all of this, trying to get past all these guys as well. He's got an absolute nightmare going on here as a GR86 and Sam Van Olst get together. Now, is that for position? It is. That's Chris Schofer, I'm pretty sure, in car number 28, the red GR86. He's sideways now. Our race leader has to make his way past Van Olst. Everyone's moving out of the way in different directions. It's terrifying. Flipping heck. Wow, and Giovanni Romano is going to breathe a huge sigh of relief. But what about Austin Farr now? He's going to want to come down the inside, and Costa is still fighting these Jettas. I don't know why he's doing it. He's really not helping himself here, is Costa. Austin Farr. Oh, my goodness me. It's grunts and moans and hold your breath. Yeah. Wet and dry rub down the inside. Thanks very much. See you later. Goodness gracious me. This is why we love it.
It's non-stop. Again, you can see Tom Mayle actually able to gain a lot of time on the cars ahead as a result of the traffic. You can see that Giovanni got held up a lot just going through here. Sven Demel fancies a look around the outside, just not quite able to put the power down against Alex Coffard. Alejandro Garcia de la Mata up through most of the worst of the traffic by the looks of things. They're coming through now this final corner. Then it gets a little bit easier for the BMWs because they've got just so much straight line speed compared to the rest of them. They can just carve a path through, but it's when you get to the corners, especially the GR86s, their cornering speed is so strong. As well, actually, to pretty much all the cars, fairly even on cornering performance. Those MX-5s, no slouches either, same as well with the Jettas. You can see the amount of lock that they're able to put on and just gain up in the corners. It's just all about being able to finally balance it and then put yourself in the right position to put the power down and clear on through. That is if you're in a BMW M2. If you're in any of the other classes, it's just a lucky dip of just hoping you're going to come through unscathed by the looks of things.
It's just absolutely balmy, isn't it? So many different classes. I mean, to be fair, you know, this is, I don't mean to knock the series, but we've commentated on a series with even more classes than this. We've commentated on a 6-series championship before, or a 6-class championship, and it's just nuts. But the fact is here is that these classes, as we will mention time and time again, are so similar in terms of performance. That's what makes it difficult, not just from a faster driver's perspective, but also the slower classes as well, trying to get out of the way and try and judge that speed. Miguel Sousa's run wide here, and then, you can't really do that, I'm afraid. He's gone off and then cut straight across the guys behind as well. His best option there would have been to just run really wide around the outside, and you've got to sort of be a bit selfless in moments like that, haven't you, Ed? You've got to concede the fact that you've got the corner wrong and that there might be people in a more opportune position, so you've got to give it up for a minute.
Yeah, especially when you've got so long to go in a race. It's just asking for trouble if you're going to cut people off like that when you're having to try and recover after a mistake. It's only going to sort of invite accidents, and with not even half an hour gone of this 1 hour 40-minute race, it just doesn't really make sense to do anything like that, does it? It's all about just thinking of the bigger picture and focusing on just minimising risk. I think, especially in this first sort of hour and maybe 10 minutes, at the sort of last 30, you can start to push a bit more, but especially in those first sort of hour, just get yourself in a nice position come the end of the race. No damage, you're still in a decent position, and then you can start to push a bit more come to the end of the race, and that's the point where you can take a risk. Because more likely than not, a lot of the drivers that would have been pushing harder would have done themselves an injury or an accident, and you'll be able to take advantage.
Yeah, definitely. The fatigue will wear in later because it is a solo event, this. Even though it's a 1 hour and 40-minute race, there will only be one driver behind the wheel of each of these cars over the course of said race. Now, it's become very clear that Alejandro Garcia de la Mata doesn't want to give this position back to Alex Coffard, and Alex will want to gain that back. I was going to say by any means necessary, but he's been running really well through the lap traffic. Look at the speed of these Beamers in a straight line, though. It doesn't look like it'd be a car that was that much faster, but it's just got huge power advantage, and he's looking down the inside of Alejandro. Nothing found there. It checks up a little bit on the Apex, and the MX-5 actually gets back in front around the outside. That's brave stuff from the number 4 of Chris Flamion. Now he's side by side with one of his stable mates there, car number 26, the BMW Sven Demel. That MX-5 slots in nicely there. The number 301 of Martin Pearson now moves out the way for Coffard. Great driving by all these guys. Really good respect. They're giving just enough room to one another. As I say that, there's contact behind as Sven Demel tries his luck and then has a bit of a shenanigan with car number 4. There's a GR86 in that as well. Oh, it can very quickly go one way then the other, can't it?
Yeah, just looking, they're leaving enough space. Nope, never mind, they aren't. As you can just see the contact between Flamion there and Demel. Luckily, it didn't result in any major drama. It was just a little bit of paint swapping, and that seemed to be the extent of the damage.
Party Animals Racing Team on Darren Bye's car. Now, Party Animals, if you've not played it, is a hilarious game where animals kick 7 shades of race car out of each other. And that's all it's down to, basically. You can play football with them, you can grab hold of each other, lamp one another as hard as you want, hit each other with frying pans. It's great fun. But I don't know
if that's...
Is that
the one that's a bit like Gang Beasts or something?
Oh, Gang Beasts is a riot as well, but yeah, Party Animals is more, you've got your sort of, you just control each arm with a trigger. It's very, very funny. Very, very funny. And there's a lot of very silly animals on it, much of which look like Darren's car, actually. It's like a sort of red metallic zebra look. It's sort of like an old livery or an old colour scheme that you'd get on an old Call of Duty game for getting a certain amount of headshots, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully he isn't going to be taking any scalps here tonight, and is instead going to have a nice clean race of things, not get into too much trouble, and just focus on having a nice clean race. We don't want to have any well, if you've ended a race with a positive KD ratio, you've not really had a good race.
no, it's the other way around. Hopefully wolves don't eat zebras either, because Ron Wolf, similar, actually, to be fair, he and Toto share the love of the number 44, it seems. But they are currently being lapped by BM after BM. That's Richard Cawthorne going down the inside in car 041. Sam Van Olst is right up behind Jake Cranstone for the lead of the Jettas still as well, and they've got some lovely BMWs making their way through. I have to pick on Connor Hatfield for a moment because he's got my absolute pet hate on this car. Not only is that car number 0, but it's 00. I hate that. I'm sorry, Connor, but I absolutely will not be giving you any airtime this season until you change that. So ask the organisers. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't even like. I'm going to pick on Richard now, and he's probably going to fire me after this. But Richard, why on God's earth have you put a 0 in front of your number, mate? This isn't NASCAR. This isn't NASCAR. Is car number 41 even taken? Oh, Richard, I'm disappointed in you.
I don't think it is.
No, it's not. Oh, Richard, come on. You can do better than that. I'm joking. But no, it's Dan McCauley. That's what it is. Dan McCauley's taken 41. But Andrew Sharp will actually do some serious commentary. We've got Andrew Sharp right behind Milan Vukovic. And it's great to see this, Ed, because 2 of the classes that we've got, the battles for the lead are separated by less than a half of a second after over half an hour. Shows you just how close this is, even with a bit of lap traffic thrown in as well.
Yeah, and it's also taken into account that the drivers might be having different approaches to the race as well. Some might be having a slightly shorter first stop, others might be having sort of a longer first stop and have a short stop at the end. You can really see the attitude of these GR86, like we mentioned earlier, really pushing it hard, and maybe a little bit too much there for Vukovic. where he's in the lead of the race, not because he's hanging about, is he? He's really pushing it, and that's why he's leading, but that can easily be his undoing, as Andrew Sharp, he seems a little bit more measured on board from what we can see. He's just allowing Milan to tire himself out, maybe, tire out the tyres, definitely, wear them down, and then maybe take advantage of it towards the end of this first stint.
I think that was Henry Morse there in car 14, just ahead of these guys. Yes, it is. He's already been into the pits, and he's had to take his pit stop because of the fact that he had the qualifying fuel in the car for the race. Not sure if it's open setup or whether it's fixed setup for this, actually. That's something I've forgotten to get confirmed. So he lets the GR86 leaders through. They run very wide into turn 1. We've got a battle going on here between an MX-5 and a Jetta, which isn't something you see every day. This is Manintveld and Matt Acton. Acton in the MX-5. Manintveld pushing him out of the way in the giant Jetta. But again, that's what I love about cars like this. They can have contact like that and get away with it, but maybe a little bit unnecessary there from Eric Manintveld. Maybe you just can't see the Jetta from, see the MX-5 from how high up he is in said Jetta. Oh, well, yeah. That was another sort of 30 seconds there of a driver not painting a good picture of themselves, so sorry. Stephen King. I fell out with Stephen a while ago, but I love him. He's a very, very funny bloke. I told him to chill out and he didn't like it, but he's actually kept it clean this time. You know I'm joking, Stephen. We love seeing you back on our screens. He's got Miles Owens hiding behind the boot lid of his Jetta, as that was Ben Chalcraft going through in the much quicker BMW. Just behind, Patrick Dopart as well, giving the the MX-5 some diesel-powered encouragement. And look at that, Ben Chalcraft even having to brake there through the left-hander. And oh god, there's some real shenanigans going on up there, actually, isn't there? This is scary, scary stuff. And the thing is for Ben Chalcraft as well. Oh no, he's a lap ahead, isn't he? Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a lap ahead of these guys. Sorry, I thought he was recovering after that earlier spin, but he didn't lose an entire lap. No. He just lost a few positions. There's a couple of cars in there, actually. I need to go back to this. Flipping heck. It's hard to remember whereabouts we are. There's, Miles Owens in the MX-5 has got Stephen King right in front of him, but that, a lap down, is João Marta Costa. So Miles Owens, I mean, if we go on board with Miles, we get an idea of just how big the Jetta looks even from here. It's a big old chunky car. Nothing really in the way of aero. As João Marta Costa is he's fighting these guys when he really doesn't need to. He's a lap down on them, and he's affecting, I mean, this is overall position, but not class position for these guys, and now it's getting messy. He needs to back off from this, does João, to be honest. He's causing a problem here.
The issue is that the car is faster on paper. The GR86 is initially faster on paper, but because he's having to battle with them, is that he's not able to use the car's pace to its full ability. He might be able to get through on the MX-5 eventually now. I say that. The MX-5's got a lot of pace about it, and he's going to struggle in towards turn 1. You can see actually the MX-5 breaking away, even with the slipstream that João Marta Costa will be receiving. I really would, though, if you can next time, get a sort of shot of all of the cars together again with lap traffic. Just go on board with those MX-5s again, because you could just see how exposed it feels being in behind the wheel of an MX-5 with all of these other closed cockpit cars racing around you, and you're just there almost exposed to their elements. If you poke your head out, you'll get it taken clear off. Yeah, that's it. It's like hanging your head out the side of a moving train, isn't it? You just don't do it, because you never know how quickly something's going to suddenly arrive and just swipe you one. We're 19 laps into the race at the moment, and it's still Giovanni Romano, not without a few scary moments, still leading this race. He's just overtaken and lapped the GR86 class leader, which is Milan Vukovic. He's currently just about 1.3 seconds ahead of Andrew Sharp. Ivan Bremer still leads the way in the MX-5s. He's got a good 8 seconds over Dan Peppels in second place, and then Jake Cranstone still leading in the Jettas. He's now got 5.5 seconds over Patrick Dopart, but all the other Jettas have actually had their first pit stops already, which surprises me. So I'm not sure if they've got a massive amount of fuel limitations. It was mentioned actually a while ago. Let me have a quick ganders of this actually, because they did have a huge amount of fuel limitation. Somebody mentioned it somewhere, and I'm really sorry to Richard for losing that info. Like it's been a fuel limit as Jake Cranstone comes into the pits. I think Patrick Dopart as well. should depart from the racing circuit and join into the pit lane, which he does do. You can just see now, rear of the shot any minute now. There we go. Depart as well into the pit lane. Once again, very tricky technical pit entry. One that drivers need to be very careful about not having a sort of
speeding penalty.
Unsafe pit entry, I think they call it, isn't it? Unsafe pit entry, and also speeding penalty as well, because you do get hit pretty hard on iRacing with those, don't you? With the sort of almost 40-second stop go or added time to your pit stops. It's not very kind at all, really, to you. So you need to be able to put the practice in, make sure every circuit you go to, you're aware of where you can push on the way into the pits, where you can't, as well as obviously the pit exit line. A little bit easier here because you're not going through the corner race, you just blends you back out onto the circuit. Only slight issue is that it blends you back onto the circuit, basically right on the apex of turn 1.
It's great to see these shots from on board the GR86s. You can see the BMWs coming into the pit lane as well now, actually. It's great to see that some of the drivers are able to make the fuel last a little bit longer than others too. That's one of the best things about races like this, is dependent on where they are in traffic and who they've got around them, what sort of slipstream they get, they will all run different amounts of fuel. Austin Farr has taken the race lead as Giovanni Romano has come in. Tom Mayle still in second place. Alejandro Garcia de la Mata is in third, and then Alex Coffard in fourth. A few drivers making their way down pit lane right now. Battle here between Dan Pepples and Chris Flamion. Oh, a car around in front. Dan Pepples has actually had a moment recently and lost a load of ground. That's why he's in this battle with car 4P4. Let's have a quick look. He's not overdone. I thought he was overdoing it over that curb there. Is he just going to get... Oh, he's going to get clipped by a Beamer. Yep. Head-butted by the BMW. And that was said BMW that had an unsafe rejoin earlier on as well. I hate to say it. Miguel Sousa. Going to be...
Looking at it, though, to be fair, the BMW does get enough alongside, so I'm not sure if that was necessarily all of Sousa.
Yeah. I don't know if he locked up or something for a second, because it seemed like the car went a little bit straight. But I don't know.
Difficult to tell 100%. From what we saw, but we do know obviously that the BMW M2s are now making their way into the pits, having their first stops of the race. Sven Dell's been in and out, so is Giovanni Romano. Actually, that was the car that was in second place, now sees itself 7th in class. Austin Farr goes no further and goes into the pits once more, seeing drivers make their way through. And look at the sort of way he's attacking every corner, even on the way into the pit lane.
Yeah, you've got to be absolutely on it every single step of the way, haven't you? And these drivers, knowing that this will be a long race, will have practiced their pit entrances and exits. Austin Farr comes into the box as the MX-5 just ahead leaves, making a great noise. Some of them taking tyres, some of them not as well. There was a few BMWs. Tom Mayle went up on the jacks. Alex Coffard also up on the jacks. Same with Alejandro, but Austin remaining on the ground and just taking fuel, it seems. Here's Giovanni Romano, race leader earlier on, car number 99, giving it just more than 99%. He heads out the final corner. Austin Farr is now moving, I can tell you. We'll go on board with Giovanni, see how this looks down the straight. And there on the right is our second place driver. And I only say second place lightly because it's not by much now. He's really close back in as Austin. He's actually gone straight back down the inside. Really brave stuff for the overall lead of this race. Side by side after 40 minutes of this race. Still as they head down the hill then through turns 3 and 4 to the long sweeping turn 5. Austin Farr is not hanging about here. And he is looking everywhere he can, but look at that. I love that from Giovanni. Still turns the car in, says, no, I'm not fazed by you being there at all. He's a little bit wide of the mark at turns 6 and 7. And they go down to the 90-degree turn 8. Austin's surely going to throw it up the inside here. He's been very aggressive, trying to get everything out of Giovanni that he can. Great battle in this, though, Ed. I love this.
This is really nice. Giovanni Romano pushing hard as ever, isn't he? Trying to take advantage of the time he was able to save during the pits. Austin Farr, he's not one for giving up, but he's going to lose out there just because trying to pass through the Jetta, he lost out on time and taking great advantage. Austin Farr now into the lead of the race. Let's have another look at that one, Chaz, because it was just great opportunism, taking advantage of the Jetta that didn't really do anything wrong. He was getting out of the way, bless him.
Yeah, really, really good stuff that by Austin. Like you say, opportunism of the highest order. Oh, it was that little move on the brakes. That'll raise an eyebrow or two, but, you know, Austin was brave, very brave down the inside there, and he got the move done. Still a long way left to go in the race, though, so both of these guys will not be completely determined that that is that done and put to bed. Ryan Chevalier, we have here just behind John Combs. Behind them, Darren Bai and then Ron Wolf as well, so a few of the GR86s all together. They make a fantastic noise, these cars, as they head up to the final couple of corners. I really like the final corners here at this circuit. They remind me of the old, I think, similar corners like this at the end of the lap at Buenos Aires as it heads back onto the final straight, but also it reminds me a little bit of Mondello Park. And the turns 8, the straight from turn 8 down to turn 9, for some reason the camera angle and just the sort of the natural surroundings reminds me of Jerez when they run down to the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. I really do like this circuit. It's the first time I've commentated on this track, actually.
Same here, actually. Same what I was thinking of with Jerez as well. I do get a big sort of Jerez vibes, like you say, from that sort of 6 and 7s and 8s and 9s, all that sort of area. Wolf on board with him. And this is just Portimao, where we are now. That's Portimao. Yeah, you're going, this is 100% Portimao. Down a hill with a big building in front of you and a grandstand on the right. Downhill through a long sweeping corner like that. That's Portimao all over. Yep. Ron, like hungry like his namesake though, isn't he? You can see on board now with Darren Bai looking to get past in towards, this is going to be 7th place if he's able to make it. But again, just calming it down for the moment. Look at how cornering speed is though. The apex has been taken through by Darren, really strong. Actually, I think the GR86 is, I think, one of these slower cars actually in a straight line here, because I think the MX-5s we know is faster. And actually the Jettas, you wouldn't believe it because they don't make a lot of racket, but they are actually quite quick as well in a straight line. So I think it is, while the GR86s are the second fastest car around a lap here, in terms of straight line speed, they're actually the slowest. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? It's just great to see that there's so many strengths and weaknesses for all of these cars, though. And that's what makes racing like this and a championship like this so interesting. We have our GR86 leaders in the pits, actually. Milan Vukovic and Sharp have both been in. Someone weaving there. I think that is Jackson Lowry. He's been in the pits recently for 2 minutes, though, so I'm not quite sure what his issue is. I think he's might be having some sort of hardware issues or something, because he's been in and out of the pits a number of times now and has been resetting. That means that Georg Gruber has taken the lead in the GR86s. Pretty sure that we'll see some headlights come on quite soon, Ed, because as we look at the sim right now, the time has progressed, but yeah, it's not progressed too much between sessions, which is good. So they've had it where the sun is continually going down from one session to the next. We look at Gruber leading the way in the GR86s, but that is just a temporary thing. I think he will lose that lead once he has his pit stop. Henry Morse in the background there, and a great battle still for what is now 3rd overall in this race as De La Mata tries to hold on ahead of Coffard. Coffard's working mighty hard just to get the position back that we agree that it should have been given back a while ago. Yep, but it has not been, and that is once more giving us some excellent racing to, well, race our screens as Alejandro Garcia De La Mata continues his staunch defence of that 3rd place. Podium in class on the line with now 55 minutes to go, there or thereabouts. Alejandro carrying on, and actually Sven Demel is arriving on the scene. Is he looking to see if he can maybe get himself up into those podium places? Just watching as well, actually, like you mentioned, George Gruber in the Toyota GR86 not making their first pit stop, and quite impressive really, because the rest of the field has made their pit stops around about 4 or 5 laps ago, so they've been able to really carry on quite some time. Yeah, really stretching the fuel out at the moment. That's very impressive. We'll look at the pit stops on the left hand side of your screen. There's a little bit of a wobble there. We've also got Evan Campbell, who hasn't pitted at the moment, in the top 5 of the GR86s.
You can see now that there is a change as Darren Bai comes into the pits. Campbell also continues on and doesn't pit again this time round. It's really, really impressive stuff that they have this capability. Part of me is wondering, I don't know whether this is a complete coincidence. Bear with me. No, I don't know. See, that crest on the bonnet there, it's all about the team is clearly Flying Donut Motorsports, but it looks like, I don't know how many of you have played Rocket League, but there's a goal explosion on Rocket League. There's a load of donuts and sort of like what are they called? Like, oh Christ, like sprinkles, donuts and sprinkles and icing and stuff all sort of fly out of the screen at you, and it looks like a Rocket League sort of crest on the bonnet. So I don't know if that is a Rocket League reference or not. If it is, then I'm proud of myself, but not proud of myself at the same time. Austin Farr is still leading this race from Giovanni Romano as they both come up behind the 666 machine in the Jetta class, which is Wallace, now making the run down the start-finish straight once again. We've had a few questions asking how Jackson Lowry is doing. He's clearly got quite the fan club as Jackson. Unfortunately, he is, I think, out of the race. He's been in and out of the pits a number of times. He's had a few spins. I think he's been having some hardware issues, unfortunately, so the car has not been behaving how he wants it to through the wheel, and yeah, he's had a bit of drama, and I don't think the car is going to continue on in the race. He isn't moving at the moment. He isn't sat in the pit lane. He's done 21 laps of the race, but I don't think that he will be continuing, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it seems like there's been some technical gremlins potentially plaguing Jackson Lowry at this stage, which is just why we haven't seen him out on circuit as much as we'd like to. Hopefully it gets sorted out for the second round at least. Speaking of actually the upcoming rounds, I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing what on earth is going to go on at Daytona. Yeah. Especially considering these GR86s, second fastest class, I don't think they'll be that when we get to Daytona. I think they might struggle to be third or even fourth fastest.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have the grunt in a straight line. And the Jettas, while they've not got a lot of acceleration, their top end is quite strong, and with the slipstream as well. That's going to be really interesting to see how they contend with even the likes of the MX-5s.
Even Jackson Lowry is now asking how Jackson Lowry is doing. Jared Farwell saying that the flames looking tough up the side of Andrew Sharp's car as well. I'm not sure I like the chalkboard effect. It's very, very matte. It's like beyond matte. Like it's that, what do they call it? There's a certain black, Vanta Black.
Vanta Black.
Black. Yeah, there's literally no light reflecting on that thing at all. I think you tone that down and give it more of a satin look. That would be banging. But rather than moan about the livery, I should tell you, very complimentary style, that he leads the class at the moment after he and Vukovic have both had their first pit stops. The Denso Panasonic 24 machine has dropped down a position now, and Andrew Sharp not only getting in front but also starting to move away slightly at the front of this order. So doing a great job at this moment in time. We've got a lovely mix of cars here, actually. We've got an MX-5 ahead of a GR86. This is Justin Michaela, Chris Schofer and Patrick Dopart, with then another Jetta of Eric Manintveld just behind as well. Eric showed us his appetite for killing MX-5s earlier, and well, Patrick Dopart showed us his appetite for gravel as he disappears off into Portugal.
Or is it on though? Only loses out on the position, nothing else. But you can just see in the background our race leaders, class leaders in the BMW M2s, Farr and Romano, arriving on the scene once again, stuck nose to tail. And while Austin Farr was able to get the position, he hasn't really been able to get any clear space in behind. And now Giovanni Romano with a little bit of a run just coming through that right-hander. He's going to back out though because he knows that there's going to be traffic coming into the mix and he doesn't really want to get too involved. A little bit of dust getting kicked up as that was one of the Jettas running offline. Again, just look at the pace difference between these M2s and the Jettas. So much more acceleration, able to put the power down just so strongly, even though the rear-wheel drive isn't necessarily helping them out in comparison to the front-wheel drive nature of those Jettas. Giovanni Romano closing down under the brakes, but just, again, being very smart of it, not really throwing moves up the inside. We've got 50 minutes gone in the race, 50 more to go. So we have officially, Chaz, reached the halfway house of the race, and now we can start to see if the drivers are going to push that little bit more. I mean, they've been doing so, these two especially, from the word go.
Yeah, this has been absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love this camera angle as well, actually. I didn't think it had this much drama to the BMW, but it really has done. And right now, as Andy Fox has just pointed out as well, he said, is Austin paying the price for not changing tyres? That is what he reckons made the difference to Giovanni. But Giovanni pitted around the same time as him, so I don't think he's actually saved himself any time in the pits as Austin by not changing tyres, which is the weird thing. So
I think with Austin, it definitely helped him out, though, because we saw that he just had so much more grip, didn't he, with those warmed-up tyres compared to when Giovanni came out on tyres that were fresh on, just obviously not able to get that heat cycle into them. It was what really gave Austin that advantage for the first half a lap, where he was able to put pressure on and then make that move down the inside to get into the lead of the race. Should be able to change tyres if he wants to in that final stop, whereas Romano will be on a bit more of a worn set if he decides not to change.
Coffard here making his way through the pack. I think he just overtook the number 28 machine of Chris Chauffeur, and Chris now, he's side by side with some of the Jettas. That's number 32. Is that Manintveld? It is, Eric Manintveld. He's also got the 23 behind him there, Patrick Dopart, wanting to come through as well. It's all very, very feisty. There's so many mixed cars about here, so many mixed classes as well. Look at that, down the inside again. Chauffeur says, not in your life. This is for overall race position, so he's well in his right to defend this. But when it comes down to class position, he's not doing him or anyone else any favours. We go in the very elevated view here of Eric Manintveld's VW Jetta. You can see the racing line branding there. Jack John's on the back of Patrick Dopart's machine. A lot of them running the liveries that they ran in the Jetta TDI Cup that the racing line used to host. Some fantastic references in the chat. CC saying you were the chosen one, Jackson. You were meant to destroy the competition, not join them. Not quite sure how much of the reference that'll be. But Eric Manintveld sampling the sounds of tyre squealing or tyre scraping. It's like a paper cup dragging along a table. And then the noise of the curb rattling the underside of this Jetta. Great car. We still have this battle for the GR86 lead, though. And Milan Vukovic, sorry, not Jukovic, is very much closing up to Andrew Sharp once again now, so I'm excited to see whether he continues to put enough pressure on that Andrew makes a mistake, or whether Andrew can withhold that, put some good laps in, and open up a gap again.
Yeah, it looks like there's battling everywhere. Look, because there's also battles in the GR6 for third place. Georges Gruber trying to chase down Ryan Chevalier. Looks like it's a battle that's brewing here, but we're going to stay with Vukovic because he's got some great slipstream now in towards turn one. He's going to look for the inside line. He's close enough to do so, but actually preferring to give him a little bump along to help each other out, thinking about the rest of the race and knowing that he's not going to win the race into turn one with, well, now 45 minutes to go. It's best just to try and work together and then decide to really knock 7 bells out of one another at the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to think about bigger picture in a race like this. Ben Chalcraft just here with Pedro Barbosa just in front of him. Has Pedro had that BM fixed from earlier? Yes, he has. He's had a fast repair from earlier because he had a big old dent in the front of this thing, didn't he? It's quite funny, actually. There's a lot of these drivers haven't got liveries on these cars. It's not been on iRacing very long, so a lot of the teams haven't painted one yet. So we've got a lot of very plain-looking cars that haven't had their sort of fancy paint schemes put on. Now, this is a pinch point for the Beamers, catching up with the GR86s, because this is the real section of the circuit now where the power matters, the real push out of the corner. This is where the BMWs will overtake more frequently, you see, because they do get that shove. It's not really something they want to do, is disturb this GR86 lead battle. David Christie in the chat saying, is that the actual pilot Chaz Draycott? No, I'm afraid he's not here tonight, mate, but sim pilot Chaz Draycott is. Either way, a new video went live on my channel today where I failed a flight and have lined up a load of training with my friend Drew. Anyway, we have Beamers catching up with GR86s. This is helping Brooks Clayton in whatever the hell this machine is as well, actually, Ed, as he gets onto the back of the two cars in front. And this is a real moment where traffic is changing this race, because look, the GR86 is now side by side for the class lead with a Beamer in between them.
Yeah, the Beamer there, that was that Barbosa, I think, just carving a path through, upsetting the rhythm of the two GR86s. I think Andrew Sharp and Vukovic have settled their differences, though, and yeah, it is still Sharp ahead of Vukovic, so while it upset their rhythm, it didn't seem to upset their positions. In behind, though, that's going to be a bit of a concern, as that is Tom Mayle.
I love the Ainsley Harriet livery.
Yeah, I was going to say, not the best race so far, though, for Tom Mayle, is he's really dropped back from where he was at the beginning of the race.
As there's
Basically
Vukovic.
having to try and recover as Vukovic just sweeping through around the outside. That one caught me off guard a bit there, Chaz.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome stuff. And Tom, as you can see there, still carrying the same corner speed, and Vukovic able to stick right with him. But then all of a sudden when it comes to it, like the BMW just drags away as they head out of the corner. And then as they head down the straight, watch this, we'll go on board very quickly with the GR86, and that BM will just drive off like nothing. That's crazy. It's mad to think there's that much power difference between these cars. But before you know it, he's at the next corner and he's done. That is the biggest difference in pace from one class down to the next. We need to look at Ryan Chevalier. He's had a drama. I hope it's not with that number 31 BMW, but it's very likely it will be. Oh, no, actually. Oh, no. Did I speak too soon? No. To be fair, he didn't know they were 3 wide there, I don't think. The 33 car on the inside was the VW Jetta of Brandon Hughes. Brandon was put in a tough spot there, and unfortunately Ryan, the victim in that one, but no one to blame. This is Ron Wolf. He's got Sam Van Olst next to him. Ron down the inside. Has he just gone in too hot? Yes, he has, and it's going to snap on the downshift. The GR86 does that very aggressively, and he does the right thing, though. He lets the car roll backwards there, Ed, doesn't he? It's good stuff.
Yeah, lets it roll and gets it stopped, and able to then keep an eye on his relative. As soon as he shifts down into first, you can see that's just when it bites and goes around him. He lets this Jetta past, then knows he's got some clear track space to get up and rolling, but still staying well over to the left-hand side of the circuit, allowing him to get up to racing speed.
And even then, look, even on top of that,
carries on going.
Yeah, he stays off the racing line for a while. That's an absolutely textbook rejoin, that is. And, well, I don't know where on earth Andrew Sharp was going, but hopefully his rejoin was good as well. CC saying he'd love to hear a Jackson Lowry interview. We didn't really plan on doing any mid-race interviews, and I don't think Jackson's really had enough of the race to warrant speaking to at the moment. Unfortunately, he's not back in the race now. He's completed 21 laps, but unfortunately retiring and not even taking the start of the race due to whatever hardware issues. I don't think he'd have a lot to say. We've got Brooks Clayton trying to dazzle Ben Chalcraft with whatever this thing is as they make their way past. Is that Wallace? It is Wallace in the 666 car, as he stays well out of the way. It doesn't help Brooks Clayton, but Wallace didn't do anything wrong there. I could look at the back of that car all day. It's a fantastic looking race car, is this BM, but in that DTM livery as well, it's got all the all the logos are changed for just local logos basically on what Ben's got nearby to him. He's a very good livery designer, is Ben. He always does these sort of throwback liveries. It's great to see.
It is very
that.
chalk and cheese though, these two cars, isn't it? You've got very nice DTM, and then you've got the acid trip on wheels of Brooks Clayton.
It really is. Yeah. It's horrendous. It looks like one of those websites that says, "Congratulations, you're our 2 millionth visitor."
Yeah.
You've won an iPad.
Like what was it? The $1 million web page or something, where you could like pay, I think, $1 for like a pixel. There was like 1 million pixels on a website, so people just made it like a absolute mess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like what goes on in my head.
might be what's going on in mine after the next sort of. Well, now 40 minutes.
It's gone by quick, that, I have to say.
It's gone by pretty quick. That is very true. We're very, very fast. Still, though, I'm going to see how the drivers navigate yet more 40 minutes of traffic negotiations.
What happened to Tom Mayle, by the way? Because he lost a load of places. He was in the pits for 1 minute and 15. I think he sped in the pits. Because that is,
lines up,
Yeah, that's 40-odd seconds more than everybody else. So I think Tom sped into the pit lane and has cost himself a bunch of times. He's now near the back of the class.
Into or sped on the way out and then had to come back in the pits again. I think it is only showing he came into the pits once.
Yes, he has, yeah.
So it would have been either speeding on the way in or an unsafe entry, or potentially even both.
Jackson saying he's actually got a lot to say. He didn't retire, he just gave the competition a break. So, fair play. We expect big things at round 2 then, Jackson, if that's the case. We expect very big things at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We will have to wait and see. We've got a great little battle here between a GR86 bullying an MX-5, but the MX-5, to be fair, is probably doing the world a favour with this, because, no offence to Evan Campbell, but Ivan Bremer is the lead MX-5, so he's showing that, you know, in the right hands it can be as competitive as the GRs when it shows its strengths. But Bremer, he has got 7.3 seconds over Martin Pearson. I'm pretty sure. No, Martin is not his teammate. It's Dan Pepples that is his teammate. And these guys doing a great job. Tom Mayle is back into the pits. Maybe he heard us. He's like, ah, look, I have been in twice. And he's coming into his box.
I'm going to stop. Car's not vanishing, so he is taking a planned stop. Car's not going onto the jack, so no tyres, just seemingly fuel or potentially a penalty. Doesn't look like there's anything that he's been doing wrong. I can't see anything from our side. It'll get up and rolling again. 16 seconds. Is that going to be a 15-second stop and go?
Potentially, yeah. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's on the roof, to be honest. I should be doing my job and talking about the race, but I just want to see what's on it. I like the deal with it Mail thing instead of deal with it mate. But I don't know what the heck is on the roof. But I like the livery, though. Just the simple Ainsley Harriet brand. It looks great on just the sort of matte black car. It's really tasty livery, in fairness to him. But he's back out on track with a bit of clear air around him. Sven Demmel is next in. Now, there is obviously incident point limits on this. I think it's 25 points you get a drive-through penalty. And then if... Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
And then if you get 35, then you get disqualified on the spot. That is Ben Chalcraft being absolutely walloped by the pixel storm on wheels that is Brooks Clayton. Let's have a look at this. Ben is in the fight with the Jetta. This does not bode well. He is a long way back, and that smells like ABS. That smells like ABS. I can smell it from here.
Is it the A or... I mean, glad that there's the A with it as well, not just the BS. As you can see, Brooks Clayton...
Oh my word. I think he was that focused on the Jetta that he just completely missed his braking point. And Ben will be... I can tell you what Ben will be saying, but it's not broadcastable.
No,
Connor Hatfield is now... We've not seen this livery yet. Oh no, we actually mentioned Connor before because of the fact that he's got 00 on the car. Lovely looking livery, but Milos will not like to be advertised at the side of the circuit remaining stationary. Jake Cranstone still leads the way in Jettas. I mean, Jake Cranstone leads the way is a phrase that we're used to saying here on Chaz Draycott Media, but he continues to do so once more. He's a multiple Jetta champion, is Jake Cranstone. In many forms, he's also a GT4 Challenge champion as well. But look at the Jetta sticking with the beam around that corner there before it puts the power down. That was amazing. The direction change on this thing as well as it just wobbles its way around the track is excellent. It's such a fun car, it really is.
It's all purpose as well, the Jetta. I know you're acutely aware of its abilities to do rallycross, Chaz. I know you've, I think, had a broadcast where these things were doing rallycross races, if memory serves correct.
Yeah.
And they're one of them. It's a kit. They do ovals as well. I remember. I think it was the beach party, wasn't it?
Oh,
you did,
good lord!
where
Yeah.
They could do ovals.
They do big crashes.
Not necessarily,
on ovals.
not necessarily cleanly, but they do. By golly, turn left.
They do turn left well. Yeah, we did. As part of the championship I used to run for the Jettas, we had a Christmas beach party, so we had 4 variations of Daytona, basically. We had one of the infield circuits. Actually, no, we moved up the road to USA International in Florida to go on the dirt oval, then nipped back down to Daytona to do the oval there, then the rallycross. So we did 4 races in the night with all of the Jettas, and we had a little mini championship go on, and it was an absolute riot. But the oval race was one of the best bits of the night, but we did get the big one at Daytona, and it was a large accident. Unfortunately, João Marta Costa has had another drama here in towards turn 1. Has he just lost it on the just on the downshift again? That's the thing with this GR86. It really doesn't like being told stop, please. It doesn't. If you tell it twice, it throws a real hissy fit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does not like playing nice. There's the GR86, but it seems to be one that at least Vukovic and Sharp can manage cleanly. They've been able to carry on in the lead of the race, still less than half a second, separating first from second in the Toyotas. So again, just showing how tightly packed it is across the classes, because we've got the BMWs as well, nose to tail. Andrew Farr and Giovanni Romano once more as the tyres are squealing for mercy on board with Stephen King, making it hard to hear yourself think, isn't it, when you just hear the sound of it just drowning out the engine.
I want to know like how strong the driver's wrists are in these Jettas, because flipping heck, he's got one hell of a grip on that wheel. And watch this. Look at that. Whoa, them forearms at the end of a 1 hour 40-minute race will be pumping. It's great fun to ride on board though, because you do see how much you have to wrangle it, because it's a very stiff car, so you do bounce it. You have to compromise it with just more lock, so you do kill the tyres in races like this.
Yeah, I don't think you'd really expect Jettas to be built for endurance racing, but here we go with the 1 hour 40 minutes, and now we've got about 35 minutes remaining as into the pits comes the 92 Jetta. That is Sam Van Olst coming in. It was ahead of Stephen King. Jake Cranstone continuing to lead the way in the Jettas, relatively unchallenged by the time of it. Teammate of the Jetta we can see on our screens now, that is the 888 of Donny Alpha Henriksen. Sorry. Let's see again though, Andrew Sharp and Milan Vukovic, like I was just alluding to earlier. Once more, still nose to tail, less than half a second separating first from second in both the BMW M2 class and the Toyota GR86.
How's our mate Jack Johns doing? He's not quite in a fight at the moment. He's got Stephen Burns just ahead of him. He's gained 11 places overall though. He's having a good old run. Miles Owens just behind him, then Donny Alpha Henriksen. There's a good mix of the Jettas and the MX-5s actually. It always looks like there's loads of smoke on the screen into turn 1, but there's a few lockups going into there, and then you get the debris refresh. You can see all the marbles at the side of the road. If we go back on board, you'll see a bunch of it actually around the outside of this next corner on the right hand side. You can hear the MX-5 buzzing around like a wasp in the background. There's loads of marbles and debris and all sorts off the racing line here. Tyre marks and all sorts as Mr. Blobby goes wide. There's a car actually around there. That was the 31 BMW, Miguel Sousa. Austin Farr has had a problem as well. We'll look at this in a sec. This is what happened to Sousa. It's down the inside of car 32. That's Eric Manintveld, third in the Jettas, and he's just got into the ABS and smacked into the side of him.
Broke very late as well actually. You could see the point where the Jetta was braking on the wider line, and then Miguel Sousa being on the inside should probably be braking at roughly the same time. Just think misjudges it slightly.
So our race leader having a drama. Austin Farr spins out of the race lead at turn 1, and it shows you on what a knife edge these drivers are on here.
Yeah, I don't know what even caused that. Was it maybe a case of the marbles? Was it just unsettled over the curb?
Yeah, just unsettled over that curb, and it was, wow. That so slowly went around, but that was almost like a GT3 spin, wasn't it? It was a really lazy long slide.
It seemed to me like it was just the stiffness of the car, because it's what you mentioned earlier, Chaz, actually, is how stiff those cars are, and it seemed to just bottom out over the curb. It bumps down, and that was what caused the rear end to suddenly break away. Again, the driver's pushing really hard, but that's given a massive lifeline, hasn't it, to Giovanni Romano now, where he's got about 4 seconds of a lead ahead of Austin Farr now.
And Alejandro Garcia de la Mata is now right behind Austin as well, so he's now going to be putting pressure on Austin. So he's gone from one situation where he's got pressure from behind to then all of a sudden losing it, getting frustrated, having some red mist, and he's got literal red mist behind him in this gorgeous M2 of Alejandro Garcia de la Mata. Hello to Dave, Dredge and Alex in the chat, the boys. I always complain about people that call me Chad on YouTube, considering that the channel literally has my name on it. And the boys are here to entertain and say hello, it seems. That MX-5 was very well camouflaged in the middle there. That's the number 39 MX-5 of Justin Michaela, trying to stay out of the way. Again, we'll just see the difference. Look at the Beamers just absolutely lobbing it round the outside and disappearing. Well, I was going to say into the sunset, but it's pretty much disappeared itself already. But look at Justin there, still having to dance the car around turn 5. And then on the brakes, so many adjustments going there. It shows you how oversteery. Well, there it is. Wow. God, it doesn't look that lively from the outside, does it?
It's why I love racing the MX-5s. They're just like go-karts, where you're constantly doing some sort of action on the wheel throughout the corner, mid-corner, entry, exit. You're always just having to really balance it, get that slip angle right, and it's so crucial for those MX-5s to have that sort of, just that slip angle right, where you're just on the tail end of sort of having a slide, but while also just being able to carry as much momentum through the corners as possible because of those MX-5s, how much of a momentum-based car they are. It's such a great way to, like you were mentioning earlier, Chaz, is to develop that car control ability because that's the best way you can drive those MX-5s fast, is by balancing it. It's very forgiving when you can get there, though. It's got sort of leeway on the slides.
Yeah.
So you can sort of get it on that slip angle in a much more forgiving way than you would with pretty much any other car on the surface. It's why I absolutely just want to say, if you want to get faster on iRacing, just put some time, some real proper time into racing the MX-5s and you'll get there.
Yeah, it's a really great car, as I said earlier, just for learning car control and how the sim deals with the slides and overheating tyres. And the thing is as well, is that, like you say, you get that slip angle, you get a limit to how the car can slide, but you can always get really overconfident with that and overdo it and have a right old moment. And the car will bite you. It will come back at you and be like, I told you not to take the mick. And yeah, it will absolutely have you. I just wanted to quickly look at something that we often look at in these races and look at the biggest mover in the field, the driver that's gained the most places so far, as Alex Coffard gets the life scared out of him by Sam Van Hulst in the Jetta as he suddenly changes lane like he's on the M4. Have some of that. It's not the M4, it's an M2. Hello. Back down the inside. God, even the Beamer gets towered over by the Jetta. But I wanted to look at Donny Alfa Henriksen because he's just gained another place over Matt Acton. No, actually, it wasn't even over Matt. Oh, no, he is there. He's literally just he's hidden right behind. You can't even see the MX-5 behind the Jetta. But he's just gained his 12th position in the race as Donny Alfa Henriksen. And Matt Acton has got Ron Wolf in there as well. They've also got now the BMW of Garcia de la Mata going through. That's all four classes on your screen at once, showing you the difference in the power to the BMW as it disappears down the inside. Alejandro now second place in this race outright. And we are going to see, actually I do want to quickly, if I can, jump on board with Donny Alfa Henriksen as we come out of this corner here. Watch the BMW just drive by on the left. Bye-bye. It's fantastic. Now let's watch this pit entry here. How strong are your wrists? Oh my God. I hope he's not on a direct drive wheel. Wow.
What's that 270 degrees he's having to put on there?
I bet the rig twists
insane.
when he does that.
Yeah.
That literally is the master of torque if that's the case. If he's got a direct drive wheel.
Forget the Jetta getting up on three wheels. This rig's going to be up on the side as well if you're having to really twist it that aggressively. My word, he's really having to give his arms a workout. Jake Cranstone has been in and out of the pits as well, actually, in the Jettas. I think that's his final stop of the race, done and dusted as well. So Jake should be able to get through relatively nice and safe till the end of the race in the lead.
Yeah,
commanding lead as well, actually, in the Jettas. Sam Van Olst in behind is, how far back is he?
7 seconds.
7 odd seconds.
Yeah, and teammates as well, actually. Well, actually, no, not teammates currently, but I think Sam is in the Goldwing team. Car number 92. A little bit of damage on the front of that, but he's cracking on nicely at the moment. Stephen King is only 1.1 seconds back from him, though, hoping for a podium in his first race of the season. Jeremy Agard and Stephen Burns representing the Masters of Blobby livery. They are stablemates, but they will definitely battle till the cows come home. Same with Jack Johns as well. He'll throw everything he can at the scrap ahead of him. Pedro Barbosa coming out of the pits now in the BMW. We'll give this a listen, actually, as he heads down towards the end of the pit lane. You see the flagman there just holding his post at the moment, ready to go. Watching over the race. Not a lot to do from up there, but listen. Fantastic sounding car.
Point, isn't it? Up there, though.
Oh, yeah. It's a great, great place to be. Alex asking if it's a PD130 in the Jetta. I believe it is the 2-litre diesel. Actually, no, PD130 is 1.9 turbo diesels. Ooh, Coffard there just slides the back end of the car in as he comes into the pit lane. Let's not forget he inherited third position as Austin Farr came back into the pits. Once again at the front of the field, though, we have Giovanni Romano in Team Huge Ass. This fantastic yellow and blue BMW. Alex King is around as he lobs the Beamer back onto the circuit. Nice little spin there. I was just looking at the I ratings of these drivers, actually, Ed, and there is one driver in this race with 7,000 I rating and more, and that is actually Tom Mayle. Highest I rating in the race, 7,031 with the Ainsley Harriott livery. It's not been quite hot and spicy meat in this race, has it, from Tom Mayle? But he's certainly
Tom
surviving.
Mahler's, he's definitely not been cooking tonight. Let's put it that way. He's going to have to be ready and steady next time to be there for it at Charlotte, I believe. It's the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's Clayton. You can see once again, that's just visual vomit, really, isn't it? Just on the car.
I can't imagine, like, at the end of the day, this has got a spec map on it, so it's still metallic with all these bits on it. But I can't imagine how that looks in Photoshop. Because that's when it'll be flat, it'll have no effects on it, it'll just be pure pixels, and oh, good lord. But you know what? We see some very funky liveries, and we see some beautiful ones as well. I mean, Ben Chalcraft's car, like we said before, real contrast here. Really classy DTM throwback with some of the logos changed. It's a very clever, humid livery, and then Brooks Clayton, it's like someone's just downloaded Paint Shop Pro off LimeWire or something. It's just...
Stuck some JPEGs on it, called it a night.
Yeah. It's just brilliant.
I love it, though, to be fair. It is nice. You get that sort of variation, and you may not think of a livery as to sort of stand out. You're definitely not going to miss yourself on the broadcast, are you, if you're Brooks Clayton? You know, to go pick yourself, oh, where am I in this six-car scrap? No, you're going to be acutely aware of where you are on the screen at all times.
Sam Van Alst is about to cause an issue for this Toyota. Oh, no, he's not. You know what? Sorry, Sam. That's the second time in this race, Sam. I am so sorry. You know what? I had there was a theme that Sam was an absolute bandit in the previous Jetta Cups, and I'm so sorry, Sam, because that's twice in the broadcast now where I've said, oh, Sam's going to cause a crash here, and then the other car in front just goes off innocently. I'm so sorry.
I think that GR86 as well actually just gets tripods, and I think that is what sends it into a spin rather than the downshift. It sort of just takes so much of an angle into the corner that it ends up on three wheels, and the car is not like that whatsoever, and throws a wobble in, sends him around.
I do that when I stand up. But Dan Pepples here.
Iron deficiency. Get some more meat in you.
Oh, no, I thought I meant tripoding. We've got Martin Pearson at the moment trying to hold on here ahead of Dan Pepples around the final corner. I love the brake discs glowing on these MX-5s. Alex in the chat is throwing in spoilers about the Manchester Derby that was today, so thanks for that, Alex. He's ruined it for me because I imagine something happened late on, which we will not elaborate on any further. We have Ben Chalcraft still in a scrap with Brooks Clayton. These two have... I imagine I'll get a message off Ben later saying, good God, I'm fed up of seeing that shining in my rearview mirror. Connor Hatfield is off the road again. Minelows. I hope they make lawnmowers. Because... Oh, and also barrier repair companies. That serves him right for having card number 00.
Yeah, bad luck. If no other reason to keep Chaz happy, change it just to get rid of the bad luck that you've clearly been suffering.
He'll make it 000 for next time round, won't he? Give it a few weeks. That'll be car 000. This is for position, by the way. Ron Wolf chasing Jake Cranstone and Chris Flamion in the MX-5. And again, we'll see the difference in pace here. The GR86 does not have its legs in a straight line at all, does it? Look.
Not seem to be there at all. I think actually Chaz as well, he's going to go 001 just to really upset
Oh, that'll really upset me, yeah. Thank God you can't have more than 3 digits. But there goes, that's Cranstone down the inside of Flamion as Ron Wolf nearly takes him out of the race. Very close.
Speed though. The GR86 just able to take the cornering speed so much more than those other two classes just up ahead. It's why it's so quick around here, but in the straights, it just gets left for dead.
It really does. And a bit of a wiggle there as the Jetta wants to give up on its tyres, and Flamion with the pull shot into Jake Cranstone. Jetta in the corner pocket. Wow, that's a scary moment for our class leader there, Jake Cranstone. And you can see now the back of that Jetta is very second hand. Wow. Yeah. That's not the moment you want there at all. That was pretty terrifying, that.
Yeah, that's scary stuff for Jake Cranstone there. The innocent bystander throughout all of that. But look at the damage done to the front end of that MX-5. These cars are actually quite sensitive to front end damage. They really do suffer in straight line performance if you've got that sort of knocking on the front. So I do worry for Chris Flamion if that is going to affect the rest of his race. Thankfully for him, he's got quite a gap to the next car in class. I think it's about 13-14 seconds. The Justin Michalia
Michaela.
Sorry, Mr. Michaela in behind. So he's got some time to work with for the next 20 minutes. But again, that damage, these MX-5s, very delicate little things.
They are. They really are. That's the thing. Like we saw it earlier, they can be so close to one another and have a bit of contact here and there, a bit of panel rubbing, as you get in production car racing like we have here this evening. But at the same time, a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, and it is like that suspension is made of cracker bread, and it will fall apart. Ivan Bremer has had an accident, I believe, coming into the pit lane here. I hope Tom Mayle doesn't try and join the pit lane party there, because he was threatening. Oh, Ivan. Oh, he's Coultharded it. Oh, Ivan. He's Coulthard Adelaide 95. But you know what? He didn't hit the wall. Fair play.
Worried stuff. I think he's been able to get through. He's still, I think, net in the lead of his class. He did lose a little bit of time to Martin Pearson, who has also made his second stop of the race. The gap now 3 seconds. There's Dan coming into the pits now. So that will be the net lead of the race still for Ivan Bremer. Martin Pearson, though, did close up quite a bit. It's actually now 2.5 seconds, I think, I'm seeing on the timing interval.
Yeah, Alex there mentioning Hamilton China 07.
No.
Don't. Oh, no, the Gammon. Patrick Gammon sideways. Oh, that's Muller-esque. Oh, he still saved it. Oh, Tom Mayle, well, you could say sent it down the inside. He posted that one. Let's see what happens here. Does he smack the Gammon? Oh, no, he's... Wow, that's a hell of a save by Gannon. That's brilliant. And Tom Mayle, fair play to him. He could have just given him a friendly little poke there, and that would have been that. Wow. That's really, really good, isn't it? Really, really good.
That was some amazing car control there from Gannon. That was save of the race. We've seen some drivers already struggle a little bit with moments. We actually saw it was... It was not Giovanni Romano, was it? It was Austin Farr who had that moment going through that very same section. Just wasn't able to hang on to it, unfortunately for him. Now, though, let's see where he's able to come through, and the rest of the race has Milan Vukovic coming out of the pits, and that's going to be Andrew Sharp going back through into the lead of the race, and he's going to have a little bit of time to play with as well, a few seconds advantage. Very nice stuff there in the pits.
Yeah, Vukovic dropping a bunch of time there, actually. His last pit stop was 8.8 seconds. It was 6.9 for Andrew Sharpers. No! Goodbye, Wolfie boy. Ron Wolf decides to lob it sideways. He says, I can do that too, boys. Watch this. As he now rejoins the circuit. There is Austin Farr going through. Just behind him, João Marta Costa. And then I think in the background there, was that Jack Johns? No, it was Stephen King in the VW Jetta. Car number 43. 8 places gained after last time. Or after last time, sorry. Since the start of the race. Dan Pepples now 3rd position, but look at this, right behind Martin Pearson for 2nd place in the MX-5 class.
Giovanni Romano as well, race leader, trying to get through the traffic at the same time.
Not long to go now, Ed, actually. Only 15 minutes left of this race. It's absolutely flown by. Headlights not ablaze yet, but they will be very soon as the sim continues to tick on. In the sim right now, it is 5:15 in the evening, but as we mentioned at the top of the show, they are using the real-world date for this event in the sim, so they are simulating the 15th of December 2024.
What has actually happened, Chaz, as well, to Austin Farr in his last pit stop? Because he was in the pits for a minute last time around, had a pit stop that was around about 20 seconds longer than Giovanni Romano's.
Yeah, I think after he had that spin, he came back in. And actually, no, sorry. He had that. He had the moment, didn't he? And then he
carried on for a bit. Then I think
he had a shorter stop for some reason. He came back into the pits for a short stop and then came back out. So I don't know what on earth caused that. No, it was Tom Mayle that came in for 16 seconds. He got the fuel in the car as soon as there's been so much movement in this field. It's so difficult to keep hold of. Chris Chauffeur, he's going to be driven to the apex. He's got Jack Johns behind him, and Jack was merciless there, and he just went through the back of him. I think he knew that it was going to spin, so he just thought, you know what, if I just backed out here. He tried to cut back, and that's unfortunate that. I think that Chauffeur was expected to still be alongside his fellow GR86, so there wasn't anywhere really to go. We have Alex King now chasing Patrick Gannon. And in the background there, you can see the MX-5 and the GR86 side by side. That's Georg Gruber outrunning the MX-5 in a straight line, which is weird to see.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of pace, actually, Georg. I'm not sure there's any damage potentially done to the front end of, I think that's more right. So it doesn't seem to be, but yeah, that GR86, while it doesn't have a lot of straight line speed, Georg, for some reason, has quite a bit of pace behind. I'm not sure if maybe they've got a little bit less fuel on board, which might be helping them out. Their last pit stop was very short, actually. So I imagine they might need to make another pit stop. But for now, out in front, it is this man, Giovanni Romano, the 99, leading the way by nearly 10 seconds now. I think it's a 9.2 gap to Alejandro Garcia de la Mata. Sven Demel right there with him, with Alex Coffard. Pretty sure the M2s have made all of their stops now as we are into the final 14 minutes of racing here, and my word, that race has really flown by, hasn't it, Chaz?
Yeah, it's been mad how quickly it went. I remember we got to the half-hour point and we thought, flipping heck, I cannot believe that we've already got to almost a third race distance at that point. And, you know, an hour and 40, big old race to be fair, and it's interesting to see how the fuel limits and the different amounts cause so many different pit stops for some classes over others. We knew that the Jetta would probably be, if they had their full fuel tanks, the Jetta would be the car that could do this from start to finish. But similar to how we see in other races, it's great that, you know, you can limit the fuel tanks in these cars from one championship to the next, so they are sort of forced to have these pit stops. It means you can compress the strategy in a race like this. This is our top three in the MX-5 class altogether. Ivan Bremer has lost a bit of time in that previous sector, and he now leads with his teammate right behind him, trying to fight away with Martin Pearson. So this is first, second and third in the MX-5s with just over 10 minutes left to go.
Amazing how these races, it always seems to be the case, isn't it? Chaz's down battles, massive slide. She's coming through this left-hander, and again, just trying to keep the car balanced, try not to work too much heat into the tyres. A lot more sort of under control there. Darting though to the inside, isn't he? Fancying a move to make it 1-2 for the, I think, Triple S team. But no, it's more Martin Pearson able to hang it through. Need to be careful of the BMWs making their way through as well. It's tight everywhere you look. I think there's that Austin Farr coming through.
Coffard, that was Alex Coffard in fourth position. And Austin Farr is the next car back in the BMW class, but he's a good 15 seconds behind this scrap. So these guys are clear at the minute. Look at that, they're just jinking out slightly for that tiny bit of slipstream, because Ivan Bremer has been leading this class all the way through and has been completely unchallenged, really. The only time that he's lost that class lead was through the pit stops. He did have pressure from Martin Pearson in the opening moments of the race, but since then he's just gradually opened up that advantage and no one's been able to catch him. But it's been a bit of traffic here and there. The odd little mistake has now sort of put him to put him to a defensive position now ahead of Martin Pearson, and I wonder whether Martin's got the confidence and the pace now, because he certainly looked more confident than the other drivers around him in this race.
I'll tell you what, as well, this is really reminding me of the sort of, you know, the 6-hour endurances we used to do with Dynamics and the Virtual Bell car a good many moons ago, where it was always towards the end of the race, there'd be one class that we wouldn't see too much action from, and then right at the end, in the final 15 minutes, there'd just be action non-stop for the lead, when the different strategies sort of melt together right at the closing stages. That's what we've got right now, isn't it? All of these cars, they've had their own sort of races, their own tribulations with traffic, and just trying different things here and there, maybe pitting at slightly different times. They've all found themselves right now at the end of the race, right together, and that's even Bremer, massive moment, able to keep the car up to the inside, but he's really cooked the tyres now, and that's lost him that position, both of them as well, just working them a little bit too much, and that sent him round to lose just 2 places. Thankfully he didn't get sent into a spin, because it's so easy, like you were mentioning, Chaz, to just overcook those tyres. But now he's gotten himself back up and running. But look at Martin Pearson, he's starting to build a bit of a gap now.
Yeah, he's got the confidence now, he's ahead of these boys, and the BMW has caught the rest of them so off guard. And now Austin Farr is going to disappear away from these MX-5s. He's
going to try, let's put it that way. He's going to, Austin Farr is going to disappear. Yes, I was thinking more of the MX5 currently leading Martin Pearson. He's going to try to disappear, but with the likes of, well, Peppels and even Bremer, we've seen the pace of both of them all race long. Not sure if it will be as easier said than done on this occasion, but it's just a case of one mistake, overcooking the tyres. I think you mentioned it, Chaz, how they are so sensitive to heat, these MX-5s, and it was one sort of big slide that then kicked off into another even bigger slide that he was able to keep hold of, but in doing so he just lost out so much. So now he needs to just calm it down for the next sort of like maybe couple of laps, get the heat sorted out, and then you can start to push into the final sort of 5-7 laps or minutes, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. It's so easy to overdo it on these tyres, and it's always been a talking point here on iRacing that it can be, one little slide and that's it, your race is done and the tyres are knackered. I remember it back in the times when the TCR cars first came into fruition. We first had the Audi and everyone was saying, oh my god, a front wheel drive car like the Kia that's got a lot of power that's going to kill its tyres, and yeah, it was quite painful to drive for a while. Martin Pearson is actually opening up a gap over these guys, and there has been a moment there for Dan Peppels. Now Ivan Bremer has gained the place back over him. Let's have a look at this from Ivan's perspective. I think he's had a bit of a slide. Yeah, look, just overdoing it on the power. Great save, and then he backs out of it to not hold his teammate up. So these guys clearly trying to work together to chase back Martin Pearson, but he's holding on well. Andrew Sharp now has a decent lead of, decent lead. After nearly an hour and 40 minutes, he's got 1.8 seconds over Milan Vukovic. Headlights are ablaze now on the GR86. Giovanni is 12 seconds clear at the front, and in the Jettas, well, Jake Cranstone is almost ahead of all of the MX-5s, and he is 16 seconds clear of Stephen King. He's having a great race.
Yeah, really, really good stuff for Jake Cranstone. This is Alex Marsh back out into the race. Alex Marsh King. Just, well, rejoining the circuit. Was a driver that we initially thought might have been an MX-5, but definitely a BMW we can see on our screens now. Only 9th place in class, but wasn't really able to put a time in qualifying, was he? So it's not a bad effort from him to be up where he is, sort of in the midfield of the BMWs at this stage of the race.
Matt Acton has had a problem in the MX-5. I wonder if it's going to involve the Pixel Storm behind him, or whether he's also going to just overdo it on that same corner. Just as it clips the curb, that goes around. He holds his brakes. Ooh, reversing, maybe not. Gets the car out of their way when there's no traffic around. Pretty decent rejoin, actually, all in all, considering what happens. And now we see that car around in the background. That's Pedro Barbosa, and he's in the wall right near the end of the race. Hopefully, it's not giving it what's known as a meatball flag, black flag, orange dot on it, which says you must come into the pits, get that fixed. How is it behaving for Pedro? Is he all right? It's hard to judge around here because he's not gone straight yet. It's how the steering is when it's completely straight. I think it's slightly left hand down. We'll see. He's got one more corner than a long straight, so we'll leave it to judge here. It just feels like Rombo with the M4 GT4. This. It's only slightly left hand down, so I think he's all right. It looks worse than it is.
Yeah, he might be all right. Might be suffering a little bit of sort of straight line speed performance. A little bit of an issue there, but I reckon he'll be alright to go till the end of the race with that sort of damage. I can't imagine he's got any of the, like they say, the aforementioned meatball plaguing him right now. Meanwhile, MX-5's still as lively as ever. Pearson from Bremer, from Peppels. But right now, Pearson is having to really weather the storm because Bremer is just right there with him. Actually, fast lap as well for Vukovic. Vukovic trying to close in on Sharp in the closing stages of the race for the GR86s. So we could still have a last little twist in the tail between those pair that we've seen going at it all race long, Chaz.
Yeah, absolutely. Battles all over the shop at the moment. I'm just trying to pick out some of the closest cars, and we've actually got a bunch of them here in the Jettas right now. Stephen Burns is just ahead of Sam Van Olst, then Jeremy Agard in there as well. Patrick Dopart and Jack Johns are side by side. Look at them all. They're still amazingly close in all the Jettas, actually, to be fair, but it's just our race leader, Jake Cranstone, has disappeared over the horizon. And Sven Demmel isn't done for third place, is he? He wants that second position.
He wants it all, does Sven, and why not go for it? You know, he's got a little bit of time still to work with in this race. You can just see him looking at the lap times as well. I think he's able to close in. Let's have a look at the last lap as he comes over the line.
3/10.
3/10 faster. And we've got, well, 5 minutes to go. He's definitely within slipstream range as well. Traffic could easily help him out as well, in addition to just keeping this battle nice and close. Missing the apex just a touch, though. That's not going to help him one little bit. Alejandro Garcia de la Mata, we know how racy he is. He doesn't like giving things up without a fight, does he?
No, definitely not. None of these guys do. There's been... Oh, Ben Chalcraft off the road. I was going to say there's been a lot of opportunity in this race for these drivers to sort of just settle for what they've got on the road at that moment in time, and well, they haven't done so. They've still been pushing throughout the race. It's been a very, very entertaining one indeed to start the championship. Just 4 rounds in this championship, like I said earlier. We obviously begin here this evening at Navarra. Quite a new circuit to iRacing still. But we move on the 5th of January. We'll be back next year for Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then the 19th of Jan, 2 weeks later, we go to Snetterton. And another few weeks before we head to Daytona at the start of February on the 2nd of Feb. And we certainly look forward to seeing what the cars make of it, where straight line speed is more important at a place like that. It's going to be mega to see the difference in the classes there, because this, one of the twistiest circuits on the calendar, possibly the twistiest on the calendar actually, is really showing us what the sort of start-stop nature does to these different classes of cars.
Yeah, and I think it's one that is, like you say, benefiting the GR86s just because they seem to be the cars that can at least corner the fastest, probably up there with the BMWs. It's just other circuits, they won't be able to use that to their advantage one bit. So we'll definitely have to keep our eyes across the course of the season, which classes might be a little bit easier to drive and negotiate the traffic than other circuits and sort of car combinations. Vukovic really closing in on Sharp as well, Chaz. That gap now beneath a second. Vukovic on a mission in this sort of dying stage of the race. 2.5 minutes to go. It's going to be a sprint till the end in both the GR86 class, but also the MX-5s, because once more it's Pearson and Bremer. Peppels has just dropped back a little bit.
Yeah, Peppels now just too far away to make the difference for his teammate right now, but this is cracking on with just over 2 minutes left on the clock. Now, where are these guys in relation to our race leader? Giovanni Romano is about 2/3 of the way round a lap, so these guys I don't think will be lapped in that time, so they might have basically a last lap sprint between the two of them if it stays this way. There's still plenty to be decided. Top 3 in the BMWs are Giovanni Romano, Alejandro Garcia de la Mata and Sven Demmel. We then have Andrew Sharp and Milan Vukovic, separated by just 0.6 of a second for the lead of the GR86s. Then John Combs in 3rd place. Martin Pearson leads here in the MX-5s ahead of Ivan Bremer, and then Dan Peppels not too far back. And in the Jettas, it is Jake Cranstone, then Stephen King, and then Eric Manintveld. Those guys look pretty sorted at the moment. Justin Michaela is in a fight, though, with Stephen King here. Stephen on the outside in the Jetta, Justin in the MX-5 down the inside. Stephen doesn't need to fight that too hard, though, because he will still have his position in class.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be the battle that a lot of the attention is going to shift to. Martin Pearson with Ivan Bremer. Ivan, who has led pretty much the entire race for the MX-5s, but it doesn't really matter if you're leading for most of the race. It only matters leading when the checkered flag has fallen, and Martin Pearson is doing a great job of managing the race up until this point. And where is Giovanni Romano? Have we seen him get the white flag? Because we are approaching sort of the end of the lap here. I imagine, yeah, we are going to be seeing the white flag. This is it.
Apparently the checkered flag is already out here. I'm not quite sure whether that's because somebody in some class somewhere has managed to finish the race before these guys, but yeah, we have a checkered flag graphic. Nobody has taken said checkered flag yet, so we'll wait now to see Giovanni Romano continue round the final corners at the end of lap 54 here at Navarra.
Bremer and Pearson still going,
oh,
Chaz.
Yeah, they've changed places. And Pearson now loses the lead coming onto the final lap. There's drama ahead. I think is that Henry Morse that's just gone off the circuit. Sven Demmel as well actually has had a problem. Sven Demmel was right up there in the BMWs. He's had a drama, but round the final moments of the lap, we're going to keep an eye on Giovanni Romano, then come back to the MX-5 scrap and see what we can do from there. Then we've got the GR86s. Jake Cranstone has just started another lap as well. He's going to be the last one. But put your hands together in chat, everybody, because Giovanni Romano takes the first race victory of the season in the FTR Events Production Car Challenge Plus. Very well done to Giovanni. Absolutely outstanding stuff as he crosses the line and takes victory. It's going to be Alejandro Garcia de la Mata in second place ahead of Alex Coffard in third. But we will head back to this because the MX-5s are going to scrap it out right to the end. They're ahead of the GR86s, and then the Jettas. It's sideways for Ivan Bremer. I think he has definitely overdone it on those rear tyres. I think that's going to be it because he's not going to have the punch out of here. Henry Morse moves out of the way of all of them. But yeah, look, the car does not want to behave itself, and I don't think he's got enough in the tank here, Ed.
No, I don't think he does, especially through this area of the circuit, because there's just not enough time left in the race, not enough corners to really make up that advantage. We're into the right closing stages as well. Look at this. This goes.
That's leader in class.
The leader in class of the GR86s. That's really, I think, put the final nail in the coffin for Ivan Bremer. Tough race for him to lead so much of it. But right at the end, hats off to this man, Martin Pearson. What a race that was to come through. And then also we can see the GR86s. Andrew Sharp, he had a great battle, didn't he, all race long with Milan Vukovic, sorry, who played his part across the entire race. And then it is the pair of them finishing first and second. I think John Coombs we're going to see as well just come through to complete the GR86 podium, and Peppel's completed the MX-5 podium. And now here we go, Chaz, in the Jettas.
Jake Cranstone rounds the final corner in car 78, and he wins the Volkswagen Jetta TDI class here at Navarra for the first race this season. I expect a flamboyant finish from Jake because we always get one, and very, very well done to number 78. Cranstone, Stephen King, well, I said earlier on he was on for a podium result, but he's actually going to head around the final corner. He's going to take second position. Eric Manintveld is a lap down and will not be now crossing the line. He's already taken the checkered flag, a lap down on our race leader. Stephen King gets the job done. And what a fantastic race, Ed, with so much going on throughout. That was very lively.
Yeah, I mean, action everywhere we looked from the word go until the end. There wasn't really a dull moment. Always some sort of action, some battling for position occurring at any moment. And now we've got Romano trying to get some donuts going.
Whoa. That was Austin Farr, I think, going past then.
Wonderful stuff. First win of the season.
I don't know if anyone can enlighten me here. If Jackson Lowry's just got a lot of his friends watching the stream, or whether I've missed something. I don't know who Jackson Lowry is, but seems to have a hell of a fan club in the chat saying that he was the overall winner by far. And I don't know what race you were watching, but it bothered me how incorrect you are. I shouldn't let it get to me, but Jackson completed 21 of the 60 laps that Giovanni has apparently done, because he's crossed the line a few times doing his donuts. Apparently he finished 6 laps ahead of everyone. So we're going to have to see just how that calculates now. I've been speaking for too long, so the music doesn't like it. But let's have a look at the results then. Yeah, Giovanni Romano wins the race only by 12 seconds, not 6 laps, from Alejandro Garcia de la Mata. Alex Coffard next up ahead of Austin Farr. Richard Cawthraw in the top 5. Tom Mayle and Alex King next up ahead of Brooks Clayton, Pedro Barbosa and Sven Demmel. Patrick Gannon had an issue towards the end, so too did Miguel Sousa. Ben Chalcroft 13th, Connor Hatfield 14th. And Ed, take it away with the GR86s.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And it was a very exciting race for Andrew Sharp and Milan Vukovic, but it was Andrew who came out on top by the slimmest of margins. 0.637 seconds was the gap between the pair of them. John Coombs coming through, not one lap down. It was more of a case of about sort of 20 or so seconds between him and Vukovic. Completing the podium, though, great race, even though we didn't really see too much of him. Ryan Chevalier in 4th, with Jörg Gruber completing the top 5. Evan Campbell there in 6th, ahead of Darren Bailly, Ron Wolf, Paul Hendricks, Chris Sofer, João Marta, Costa. We saw a lot of him, didn't we, Chaz? And he finished down in 11th place, hoping for better next time out, along with Jackson Lowry, who, again, we sadly didn't see too much of. I think there were some technical gremlins plaguing his evening. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Jet as lively as ever. Saw Jake Cranstone win the class ahead of Stephen King, with Eric Mantinveld in third. Stephen Burns in fourth, ahead of Sam Van Olst, completing your top five. There's Jeremy Agard in sixth place, ahead of Jack Johns. We see him back on our screens for the first time in a while, isn't it, Chaz, on Chaz Draycott Media? Good to have him back there in seventh place. Donny Alpha Henriksen in eighth, ahead of Black Bob Wallace and Patrick Dopart, who completes the top 10. Then we see Henry Morse in 11th, ahead of Brandon Hughes and Dave Hernandez, again a driver finishing quite the ways down, hoping for a little bit better fortune next time out.
Oh, apologies, everybody. I had a drink just before that, and I muted my mic. We are trying to get Giovanni Romano in for an interview, but the Discord permissions are not working currently. I tell you what, Ed, what we'll do is we'll hop into the broadcast waiting room, shall we? And we'll address the drivers individually, shall we? I'll join you in there. So, hopefully, if we can just... Sorry, Dan, if I can interrupt 1 second, gents. We are unable to drag people into the interview waiting room at the moment, so we've come here to spoil your party. Giovanni, first off, coming to you, mate. Congratulations on your race victory here this evening. You must be over the moon with that, because it was a little bit all over the place, wasn't it? 1 minute you looked like you had it, the next minute maybe not. It was great fun, though, by the look of it. Yeah, it was. It was definitely a bit of a push-pull there. Led the first stint, and then... Austin came back on me in the second stint, and then I don't really know what happened to him after the second pit stop, but I guess he had a slow pit stop or something, because in the third stint I had a bit of a buffer and was able to build on it. And what was it like racing these cars around here at Navarra tonight? Because it's a very, very twisty circuit, isn't it? It's difficult to get a run on some of these guys before the main straight. Yeah, like I think it's a really good fit for this the new M2 BMW. I'm really liking it. This brand new release to iRacing. I think it suited the car really well. It's really technical track, and the car is it's super nimble. So it was really fun to wrangle around the track. And what are you thinking for the rest of the season? Then you must be hugely confident coming away from this first race win of the year. Oh yeah, I mean, great start. It's a perfect start. So definitely looking forward to the rest of the season. I mean, hope I can do well, but regardless, I mean, it's just really fun. Like, regardless of where you're running in the field, like when you have like 40 plus cars and all sorts of different classes, it's just fun working through the traffic. Just really fun. Well, it's great to hear that, Giovanni, and embracing the fun spirit of the league. It's always mega to hear that. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go? Yeah, just shout out to the HJ guys. There's a lot of us in the race today. Some of them with HJ paint, some of them not. There's like 5, 6, 7 of us or whatever. So we were all on the call together, and it was we were having a good time. Fantastic stuff. Well, very well done, Giovanni, and hopefully we'll speak to you again as the season goes on. Thank you. And we'll move very quickly on to our next class winner, Andrew Sharp in the GR86s. Boy, you had to work with that one to get ahead of Vukovic. That, again, looked like a real old scrap for the race win.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. That was a long race of just being within a second the whole time. Just had me absolutely sweating. So that was a ton of fun.
I was going to say, well, that was going to be my next question. Was it at least fun while you were doing it? Because Ed and I have both driven these GR86s before. Ed a lot more competitively than me, it must be said. But they're a real great racing car, aren't they? You can really throw them about and have some great sort of back and forth racing.
Absolutely, yeah. And around here it gets a little sketchy with the curves, but we're still able to have some good side-by-side action and be able to do some push and pull. So absolutely, great class of cars, and with everyone else going on, it's a ton of fun.
And what are your thoughts for the rest of the season? Because there's a lot of circuits here where high-speed sections might be quite important, but this car doesn't have all the guts in a straight line, does it?
No, that was the only challenge today was, getting involved with the Volkswagens and all the other cars where MX-5s is where we don't have that top line speed, but we have the cornering speed. So when you have these long straights, they catch you right back. So you gotta have some big sends every now and again to make up the time. So it gets a little bit sketchy.
Well, it's been great to speak to you, Andrew. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, big shout out to the Repithef boys and Dave Carroll for cooking up a good setup here today, and Jared Farrell for hanging out in the chat. So thanks for the broadcast, and thanks for the great session. It was lots of fun.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Great to speak to you, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
Cheers. And we'll move further down the grid, but by no means further back, let's say. Martin Pearson, next up, takes the win in the MX-5s. And again, Martin, another great battle for a class win. And it was right down to the wire between yourself, between Dan, and also Ivan.
Yeah, that was an incredible race. I spun out quite early on, and I was way down in the pack, picked my way through, and I never thought I'd get back to the front. I saw Dan had a bit of a problem with another competitor from another class, which was a bit of a shame, but that allowed me to catch him. And then sounds like Ivan spent too long in the pits the second time round, so it all just came up together. That when Dan came out of the pits, I was like, uh-oh, this is all going to kick off with 20 minutes left or whatever, and it certainly did. Yeah, wow, some racing there, some confusion with the checkered flag coming out or not. Oh man, yeah, that was intense, but really, really good fun.
And what was this car like around this circuit? Because we love how nimble and lively the MX-5 is. It's not the most powerful car in the world, similar with the other cars in the other classes, but it's a real racer's car, isn't it? You have to properly wrangle the thing and have it sideways a lot to get pace out of it.
Yeah, and it's great fun, and that's why I've now chosen that, the MX-5 twice for this series. Yeah, a little bit of sideways, trying to carry speed, be late on the brakes, and cut out every corner as much as you can to shorten it and try and make up for the lack of power. Yeah, it's brilliant, and thankfully the Oschersleben set that I had developed from last season seemed to work quite well today. Well,
that was going to be one of the only details that Ed and I didn't confirm before the evening, whether it was fixed setup or open, and it did seem like people's cars behaved very differently. So would you say that that's going to be one of the pivotal points this season, is how people get the car set up?
Yeah, if I've got a bit more time in the future, I'll certainly do a few tweaks. But unfortunately tonight I was basically able to just load it and go. But yeah, the Dan and Ivan were definitely quicker in different parts of the circuit, and I was quicker in other bits. So yeah, really, really good close racing, and yeah, really interesting to be controlling that slide and having an optimal angle is very important.
Well, it's been great fun to watch either way, Martin, and congratulations on your win. Is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks to before we go?
The Backmarker Racing guys. I've now kind of moved across to them, and after kind of being an associate driver for them more recently. So they're a really good bunch and good to hang out with. So yeah, enjoying representing their colours.
It's great to have you here, Martin. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
I hope so too. Cheers.
Cheers. And last but not least, we'll come to the driver that finished third in the MX-5 class, actually. It was racing with him, Dan Pepples. Dan, thank you very much for your patience, first off, but well done on a busy racing evening. You must be absolutely shattered after that one.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you. It wasn't easy. Normally never race these cars, but they're so much fun. Yeah, definitely have to do this more often.
Yeah, Ed and I were saying about how sideways you can get it but still survive it. We're actually just watching back now in slow motion the moment you came together with one of the GR86s rejoining. So you didn't have a straightforward race by any stretch of the imagination, did you? It's always difficult in multi-class stuff.
Yeah, multi-class has been very difficult on me, I feel like, in the last month. I've done quite a lot of multi-class races, so tonight was really a night for me where I was like, okay, if a faster car puts it up the inside, I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was one moment, I think, with the BMW that I didn't really expect it to put it up the inside, so I couldn't really let it go. That was, I think, the second time I was spun round. The first time, I can't really tell you what happened. From on board, it felt like I gave the car space, but some iRacing physics put us together and then spun me around again. But yeah, all in all, I think still to come out the pits 3 seconds behind the leader. Yeah, what could have been?
Yeah, absolutely. It was certainly close at the end, though, and great fun all the same. So it's great to see that, you know, all you guys have come away with a smile on your face from that one. And is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we go?
Oh yeah, Miles and Ewan, they were great helps. Of course, they raced these cars almost day in, day out. They love these cars. I hadn't raced them before, so I needed a lot of feedback from them, how to attack corners and just how to drive this car in general, basically. But I think, as you guys have been able to see, I got the hang of them because of them. So yeah, them and just the whole SimRace Sweden team with the backing, the data, looking, and everything that we do. Yeah, they're great help.
Smashing stuff. Well, great to speak to you, Dan. Thank you very much for your time, and we will hopefully speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers. Well, a fantastic group of people, Ed, and again, it's one of the things that we love most really about doing these series, when we get to speak to new drivers, new racers. We get to sort of get a chat with them behind the scenes in the heat of the moment and just see what we're dealing with, and it helps develop the character, doesn't it, for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it, just to hear that sort of first-hand account from the drivers, because we can only know so much from being in the comms box. So to hear from all of the drivers across the various different classes here tonight, it really does sort of shine a light on where their heads are at, where obviously we're going to be expecting them to be as well come the next round. So that's things to look forward to as well. But I'll tell you what, I just want to say thank you to everyone involved, because it was a wonderful, wonderful race, wasn't it, Chaz? From start to finish, we didn't really know what to expect when we saw 4 different classes of sort of more slower powered cars, but to be honest, it worked out a real treat.
It absolutely did, and thank you as well, Ed, for jumping in. The commentator I had lined up was unfortunately unavailable for the first round of the championship, so it's been a one-off for Ed to join us tonight, but it's been great, Ed. Thank you very much for jumping in and saving my bacon, and thank you to everyone involved in the championship as well. It's been really, really good fun to get this underway. It's obviously going to be a few weeks now until we're back for the next round of the series, so it's amazing that at this point, I have to say, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and New Year, and hopefully we'll see you back in 2025 when we continue on with the FTR Events Production Car Challenge Plus. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.
4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look, and a drift is going off. Ben Gregory now, I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.